Chapter 1921, Conflict Rises. 1921 Conflict Rises. The Central Continent Refinement Path Convention was wildly continuing, but Fang Yuan's group was nowhere to be found. Fang Yuan gave the orders to retreat so quickly, the Gu immortals of the 5 regions felt as if the slaughter earlier was not real. What is Fang Yuan doing? The Central Continent Refinement Path Convention is still going on, why aren't you doing anything? You are the little demon venerable, don't bring shame to your reputation. The 4 region super forces were very anxious as they complained, they wanted Fang Yuan to attack and take the role of charging into battle for them. But Fang Yuan, who had opposed Heavenly Court all along, went missing now, he was in hiding and could not be seen anywhere. The 4 regions' forces were about to feel some resentment towards him. As days passed, they watched as the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention continued to advance. All sorts of refinement path elites were progressing in the competition. The number of test locations in Central Continent also shrunk greatly. Each area was now guarded by multiple Central Continent Gu immortals arranged by Heavenly Court. In this situation, Fang Yuan ordered again, various immortals including Bai Ning Bing, Bing Yuan, and Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven's Gu immortals took action. Central Continent, Xuanwu Mountain Range. Bai Ning Bing, you have committed too much evil, you will face retribution eventually. A female immortal from Spirit Affinity House was guarding this place, she said that before escaping. Bai Ning Bing snorted coldly, she ran really quickly. Xuanwu Mountain Range was a giant resource point of Spirit Affinity House, it had a huge area and was a publicly known immortal material treasure trove. Problems will come with waiting, I should act quickly. Bai Ning Bing started to loot the place. Central Continent, Imprisonment Valley. It's here. Steel Rush Warrior looked around. Frost Butterfly Warrior came along with him, open. Once the killer move was used, a formation appeared in front of them. Transformation. The 2 rank 7 Gu immortals from Beast Calamity Grotto Heaven did not hesitate to use their most proficient method. One turned into a giant with bull head and human body, while the other turned into a mini butterfly person that emanated frost energy. As immortal killer moves were unleashed, the formation broke after resisting for a while. Southern Thorns, the entire valley is made of immortal materials. Steel Rush Warrior was overjoyed. Frost Butterfly Warrior was even more direct, freezing the Southern Thorns and looting them rapidly. Central Continent, Red River Beach. The Central Continent Gu immortals who arrived were furious. They were late, they only saw ruins left. The blazing red stones that accumulated on the beach were all taken. A clean sweep. Fang Yuan was waiting silently earlier, but once he made a move, it shocked the world. His Gu immortals were almost fully deployed, even the hairy man Gu immortals were sent out. These people were instructed by Fang Yuan, they did not attack the sign-up spots that were heavily guarded, they targeted the resource points with weaker defenses instead. Each time they broke into a resource point, these people would plunder it dry. After the plunder, they would use killer moves to completely destroy the place beyond salvation. At once, the whole of Central Continent was set ablaze, all sorts of large resource points were plundered and destroyed. Every time Fang Yuan succeeded in taking down an area, he would publish the results of his success in Treasure Yellow Heaven. The 5 regions Gu immortals went into a clamor. How does Fang Yuan have so many subordinates? So many Gu immortals, he has greatly surpassed a normal superforce. How much strength is he hiding? After feeling shocked, they felt envy and admiration. Fang Yuan's subordinates had varying battle strength, but even the weakest Gu immortal could succeed. For the Refinement Path Convention, Central Continent had lowered its defense of these resource points too much. Many powerful Gu immortals started to think, since these variant human Gu immortals can plunder successfully, why can't I? And many weaker Gu immortals started to think, most of the good stuff will be taken by those experts, but I can still get the leftovers, right? Thus, similar to the previous life, the 4 regions Gu immortals could not wait anymore, especially those demonic immortals and lone cultivators. These people started to attack all the resource points around Central Continent. The situation in Central Continent fell apart rapidly. Heavenly Court. Fairy Ziwei had a dark expression. No matter how great her self-control, seeing all the information sources regarding resource points getting plundered and looted dry, she felt deep anger within her. Fang Yuan. She gritted her teeth, emitting an intense killing intent uncontrollably. It was this culprit who stirred everyone's desires and made Central Continent the hunting ground of the other 4 regions. It was plundered casually and suffered huge losses. Be they Fairy Ziwei, Duke Long, or Qin Dingling, they were helpless. Central Continent was too big, it was at the center surrounded by the other 4 regions as well. They had too few Gu immortals, they could not send people to all the resource points, their manpower was severely lacking. This gave thieves and bandits a chance to strike. People's hearts have changed. Qin Dingling sighed. Duke Long was indifferent, sacrifices are necessary for our grand ambition. We will focus on the refinement path convention, these immortal materials can be given up. Once Fate Gu is repaired, we will make them pay back 1,000-fold. Central Continent was currently being ravaged. Fang Yuan's timing was too impeccable, he chose the perfect moment where Heavenly Court was increasing its defense of the Gu refinement locations. These elites could not be lost as it would severely affect Central Continent's potential. And for the moment, their loss would be detrimental to repairing Fate Gu. Fang Yuan's target was also perfect. For example, places like Xuanwu mountain range were too huge, it naturally had low defense. As for Imprisonment Valley and Red River Beach, he had looted them in the previous life, he knew their layout and defensive measures. Together with his meticulous planning, Fang Yuan's subordinates had a high success rate. The ease of his plunder and immense gains lured all of the other 4 regions' Gu immortals. The Gu immortals of all 4 regions quickly moved out to target the various resource points. Central Continent had not given up on all their resource points, many important resource points were guarded by experts. At once, all sorts of battles erupted, Gu immortals fought, and the moment they found that one resource point was too hard to take down, they would wisely give up and move to the next location. Central Continent had so many resource points anyway, why would they be fixated on one area? Western Desert Earth Path Gu Immortal Shi Gan Dang destroyed the Earth Chi Rock Forest and obtained a large amount of round Kun stones. Forgotten Daoist successfully stole the Spirit Bank spring water, even though it was defended by ancient soul sex expert Yang Feng. Xiao Huqi, Xiao Shirang, and Pai Shui Han worked together and succeeded in their plunder, but because of the problem of distribution, they fought against each other. Central Continent was full of conflict and fighting, it was utter chaos. Fairy Ziwei stayed in Heavenly Court, she felt that days were passing like years. Eventually, old man Zheng Yuan spoke, we have gathered enough human will now, we can use the first human path killer move. Fairy Ziwei was overjoyed, quickly asking him to make a move. Old man Zheng Yuan nodded, he stood up shakily as a grand and vast aura surged out of his body. Immortal killer move, people's united hearts. The accumulated human will was expended rapidly, almost none was left. At the same time, Central Continent's Gu immortals, Gu masters and even mortals became enveloped in a halo of light. The halo flashed for a moment, it was like an illusion. But Central Continent's people soon found something special. Their hearts were connected, they could sense each other's thoughts and emotions. The fear of being attacked, the sadness and hatred of having friends and family die, the worry towards one's own life, and the aspirations towards one's future. Never had Central Continent's people been so tightly connected before in history. Unfettered Scholar, who was hiding in the Gu refinement location, was discovered, he managed to exact revenge and kill the Central Continent Gu immortal who was guarding the place. Southern border secluded immortal Jing Qing was exposed too, but he had no animosity towards Central Continent or Heavenly Court, he was asked to leave politely. This human path killer move, people's united hearts, is truly amazing. Xianxia communicated with Fang Yuan using Treasure Yellow Heaven. His current location was unknown, Fang Yuan only knew that he had left Eastern Sea and could possibly even be in Central Continent now. What did you comprehend? Can we restrict these human path killer moves? Fang Yuan asked, he had already given all of the information regarding these human path killer moves in his memory to Xianxia. Xianxia sighed, to negate these killer moves, the easiest way is to destroy the human will. Without human will as the foundation, these human path killer moves cannot be used. But I deduced that these human wills are kept in heavenly court. Then what about other ways? Fang Yuan asked. Xianxia sighed again, then we can only unravel the killer move directly. This is very difficult, I will need a lot of time. Don't worry, since I promised you, I will do my best. I do not want to see a complete Fate Gu either. Fang Yuan continued to wait patiently. Wu Yong led the Southern Alliance Immortals as they appeared on Hairy Foot Mountain. Follow me, let us destroy infallible blessed land, let's take all the success Dao marks and make heavenly court taste failure. Wu Yong announced. We will follow Lord Alliance leader. The Southern Alliance Immortals said together, they had high morale as they followed him. Heavenly Court immediately received news about this. Fairy Ziwei's face was grim as cold light shined in her eyes. This Wu Yong. Wu Yong has moved out. Longevity Heaven is also about to take action, it is time for me to make my move. After receiving the news, Fang Yuan smiled as he appeared near Tian Mountain. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1922, Southern Alliance destroys formation. 1922 Southern Alliance destroys formation. Myriad-year flying warship floated in the sky. Fang Yuan looked at the formation in front of him with a smile. He arrived at Tian Mountain again, this time, he would definitely take all of the dream realms away. This timing was truly impeccable. Firstly, Wu Yong had led the Southern Alliance experts to infiltrate Central Continent, Southern border was at its weakest now. Secondly, the huge battle had just started, this was likely the final period of free time for Fang Yuan. Different from the previous life, I had all the initiative this time, I defeated Heavenly Court repeatedly. The secret of my rebirth is known to all, Heavenly Court must have ways to counter it. Their arrangements will be different from the previous life, I should let the 4 regions Gu Immortals strike first while I observe their new methods. Fang Yuan had a firm grasp of the situation. At this point, Fang Yuan's rebirth advantage was mostly depleted. His previous life's memories were not reliable against a colossal force like Heavenly Court. Heavenly Court would not be so stupid as to not make changes. If Fang Yuan took the lead as the vanguard, he would be stuck in endless battles, unable to get away from fighting. He might even die in the process. After all, Heavenly Court's foundation was unfathomable. Fang Yuan could not be sure that the venerable methods in his memories were all the methods left behind. Immortal Killer Move, Refinement Formation Rain. Rain started to fall from the sky, gradually infiltrating the formation. There were naturally defending Gu Immortals in the formation. The Gu Immortals were in panic. The formation could not block him, the periphery had already been refined by Fang Yuan. Even though this formation was set up by Qi Chuyu, Fang Yuan had secretly undergone Dream Realm transactions with him, he gained a lot of information about this formation. Fang Yuan's formation path and wisdom path attainment, along with refinement formation rain, completely countered this formation. This demon Fang Yuan did not attack Central Continent, he came back to Southern border. What do I do? Seek help. Our rank 8 Gu Immortals have all gone to Central Continent under the lead of Lord Wu Yong. We still need to inform them about this. The southern border Gu Immortals conversed for a while, nobody dared to go out to fight Fang Yuan, but they had no reinforcements either. They had to use the immortal formation and add changes to it. The immortal formation continued to change, Fang Yuan's speed of refining the formation became slower instantly. But Fang Yuan became happy internally. The more this formation changed, the more he could comprehend the profundity within it. With the help of the light of wisdom, he could easily understand all of these secrets. Within Central Continent, the Southern Alliance's Immortals had already entered the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation. Wu Yong and the rest received this news. What? The Dream Realm was attacked. That scoundrel Fang Yuan. Can he see the big picture at all? He is actually attacking us at this time. The Southern Alliance's immortals were furious. Wu Yong was silent for a while before speaking. Of course he can. What does Lord Wu Yong mean? Bada had a livid expression. Fong Yuan's actions were harming the benefits of all the southern border righteous path forces. Everyone knew about the value of these dream realms. Furthermore, they would get more important when the Great Era arrives. Wu Yong smiled instead. If Fong Yuan does not see the big picture, he would have attacked the dream realm long ago. He would not wait for us to go to Central Continent. Or maybe, he wants to make use of us as cannon fodder. Then aren't we sacrificing ourselves for him? Someone asked in an indignant tone. No. Wu Yong shook his head. If Fate Gu is repaired, its threat will be far greater than the otherworldly demon Fong Yuan. He has been reborn. It seems we took the initiative to attack like now in the previous life. But there is no choice, we need to attack. This is for the sake of the 5 regions. Everyone, before we left, I already told you that our region would likely get attacked. Be they your family, friends, or our territory, all of the destruction and slaughter pale in comparison to the big picture. If Heavenly Court gains a complete Fate Gu, we will all be helpless, there will be no future for anyone. Wu Clan said this as his eyes shined like lightning. He looked around as he declared, "This is my order, let all of the defending Gu immortals retreat from the formation, do not make unnecessary sacrifices. I know this is a risky move, but even if my Wu Clan headquarters get destroyed, I will not retract my words." Wu Yong's determination shook the hearts of all the immortals. They were all united now. The Southern Alliance immortals were tightly connected. They fought their way into the depths of the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation. After Southern Border received Wu Yong's orders, the defending Gu immortals sighed in relief. They brought as many immortal Gu as they could with them as they started to teleport away. A moment later, Fong Yuan refined the formation. Not a single Southern Border Gu immortal was in sight. After he dismantled the formation, he received an information path Gu worm. It was a letter that Wu Yong had specially written to him. Fong Yuan's divine sense swept through it, looking at the content. The letter only had one sentence. It spoke of one viewpoint: the threat of Heavenly Court and Fate, Central Continent is strong, while the 4 regions are weak. He did not say anything about asking Fong Yuan to stop. This Wu Yong. Fong Yuan sighed to himself. Earlier, he was a problem for Fong Yuan, using his political skills to restrict Fong Yuan's extortion and causing him great loss. But now, Wu Yong asked the Southern Border Gu immortals to stop defending. He made them retreat and saved Fong Yuan a lot of effort. If these Southern Border Gu immortals continued to defend, it would waste a lot of time. After Fong Yuan takes the Dream Realm, he would save a lot of time. That meant he could find trouble with the righteous path of Southern Border. Wu Yong's orders carried lots of risk. It was a bold move. But Wu Yong was sure that Fong Yuan knew the big picture. He would not continue causing trouble in Southern Border. It was like how Fong Yuan knew Wu Yong would not come back from Central Continent to defend these territories if he attacked. And the truth was, Fong Yuan had no intention to find trouble with Southern Border's righteous path at this moment. After some effort, Fong Yuan took away all of the dream realms here. Tian Mountain saw the light of day again. The huge Gu immortal battles engraved here could be seen all around the mountain. There was no sign of life here. Everything had changed. Fong Yuan started to head to Central Continent. As he traveled, he transformed these dream realms into pure dream reality seeker physique bodies. In the following battle, these pure dream reality seeker physique bodies would be a huge force of his. In the previous life, Feng Jin Huang was able to resist the detonation of his pure dream reality seeker physique bodies. In this life, it was likely that she could do the same. But Feng Jin Huang was just one single mortal Gu master. Fong Yuan had the initiative. He had several battlefields to approach. Heavenly Court, Central Great Hall. Duke Long, Fairy Ziwei, and Qin Dingling watched over the situation. Old man Zheng Yuan was also invited here. The latest news: Southern Border's Gu immortals broke the first formation. They are going to the second formation. Fong Yuan appeared in Tian Mountain and destroyed the formation, taking all the dream realms. Fairy Ziwei suddenly said. Duke Long said grimly, Fang Yuan will not continue causing chaos in southern border, he will definitely go fight in central continent. It seems that we need to deal with these dream realms. Fairy Ziwei nodded. We are very lucky that Feng Jin Huang created the perfect pure dream reality seeker physique, she can resist Fang Yuan's dream path methods. Duke Long chuckled, you think this is luck? No, this is the power of fate. Heavenly Court will not lose this battle, we cannot lose. At this moment, Fairy Ziwei gasped as she showed a surprised expression, Southern Border's immortals have broken the second formation, they are going to the third one now. So fast. Even Qin Dingling was shocked. Within 9 consecutive unceasing formation, the immortals had high morale. Qi Chuyu, good job. As expected of the Soul Formation Path Great Grandmaster in Southern Border. With Lord Qi Chuyu around, how can any formation stop us? Ha ha ha. Just earlier, when the immortals went into the second subformation, Qi Chuyu spoke, stop. Next, he observed the area and led the immortals to quickly and delicately destroy the formation. The immortals praised him but Qi Chuyu shook his head, the truth is, I did not see through this formation, I had received information from Fang Yuan. The expressions of the southern border immortals froze. Qi Chuyu continued, using my method, I can break this formation rapidly. But that is a forbidden method that will expend my lifespan. It seems that Fang Yuan had been reborn. In the previous life, he must have broken this formation too, he knows about it clearly. The immortals nodded, agreeing with him. What they did not know was, Qi Chuyu was the one who explained the profundity of this formation to Fang Yuan. In the previous life, Fang Yuan rushed to Hairy Foot Mountain from Emperor City battlefield, in order to destroy the 9 consecutive unceasing formation, the immortals wanted to use the 5 regional limit formation. But without the complete formation chart, and having to create it within the enemy's formation, it was too difficult. Fang Yuan used his wisdom path and formation path attainment to cooperate with Qi Chuyu and Black Extremity, working together to deduce the complete formation chart. During this process, Qi Chuyu gave Fang Yuan and Black Extremity an explanation on their experiences of breaking the earlier formation so that they could understand the 9 consecutive unceasing formation. Since Wu Yong asked the southern border immortals to retreat, displaying greater sincerity and determination, Fang Yuan was returning the favor by guiding them now. After learning of this situation, Wu Yong had a slightly complex expression as he sighed, it seems that Fang Yuan has already arrived in central continent. Fang Yuan understood Wu Yong, but Wu Yong also understood Fang Yuan. The two of them had an indescribable understanding. Even though they wanted each other to die during normal times. The truth was, in the previous life, in order to break the 9 consecutive unceasing formation, Fang Yuan also asked the Southern Alliance for Dream Realms. Wu Yong did not hesitate but agreed instantly. Fang Yuan was transported back to southern border, the defensive formation was opened and he managed to take the Dream Realms away. But later, when Fang Yuan converted them into pure dream reality seeker physique bodies, Feng Jin Huang resisted them and he failed to destroy the 9 consecutive unceasing formation. Using Fang Yuan's guidance, the Southern Alliance's immortals broke through another 2 formations, their efficiency was out of this world. Heavenly Court finally reacted in time. Fairy Ziwei frowned and thought about the countermeasure when suddenly, rainbow light appeared above Heavenly Court. Bright light spread everywhere, rank 8 Immortal Gu House Calamity Luck Altar shot out from within. Heavenly Court, we're here. Bing Sai Chuan called out with great morale. We have been waiting. Qin Ding Ling slowly stood up. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1923, Stars During Daytime. 1923 Stars During Daytime. Heavenly Court. Colorful lights filled the sky, a huge rank 8 Immortal Gu house flew out from within. It had 3 floors of altars, grand and magnificent. There were multiple pillars holding each floor up, having white jade railings and shining aurora, it was eye-catching. Calamity Luck Altar. Qin Dingling watched with shrunken pupils, her expression was complex. She was looking at the Immortal Gu house that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable built personally, but the latter had passed away. Even if you were an immortal venerable, lifespan was limited. Heavenly Court. On the other hand, Bing Sai Chuan in Calamity Luck Altar was trembling with excitement. At long last, he had finally attacked this place, commencing the great plan that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had entrusted to him, to seize Fate Gu and refine Destiny Gu. We really got in. The accompanying Five Elements Grandmaster was very shocked and surprised. Is Heavenly Court's defense really this weak? Of course not. Bull Demon explained in a deep voice, this is the arrangement of our ancestor Giant Sunday. Back then, Golden Hoop Great Immortal invited our ancestor to come to the Heavenly Court for a visit, ostensibly proclaiming that he wanted to invite Ancestor Giant Sun into Heavenly Court. At that time, Ancestor Giant Sun secretly set up this arrangement, leaving it for the future. Five Elements Grandmaster could not help but inwardly be astounded at the words. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's strategy was planned so long ago, but he actually managed to use it so far in the future. Go. We'll use the route that Limitless Demon Venerable made when he previously attacked. We will attack Central Great Hall, ascend to Heaven Overseeing Tower, and seize Fate Gu. As soon as Bing Sai Chuan gave the order, the surrounding colored lights moved sharply. Calamity Luck Altar was actually carried by the colored lights and moved to a distant place. The Chi wall left by Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable had already activated. It sealed Calamity Luck Altar within the Chi wall. On the other side, Qin Ding Ling had a pale face as she fell to the ground. She had already done her best to make some minor modifications to Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's arrangements. The so-called trap against Northern Plains would naturally be most effective with the help of a venerable method. Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable left behind the killer move Chi wall in Heavenly Court. It was everywhere. When the three demon venerables attacked Heavenly Court, they created three paths that had no Chi wall along them. But all other areas were filled by the Chi wall. Qin Ding Ling worked her hardest to relocate Calamity Luck Altar into the Chi wall. At once, Calamity Luck Altar became immobilized. It faced a huge pressure from all directions. Fairy Ziwei quickly helped Qin Ding Ling to stand up as she said in admiration, "Senior, it was all thanks to you." Qin Ding Ling sighed and said with a solemn tone, "To think that even after I worked my hardest after waking up, I merely managed to move his method to a slight extent." Sigh. Duke Long walked slowly with a calm expression. "Let's go, it is time to welcome our guests." Damn it. Heavenly Court knew that we were going to attack. They made use of that to set up an ambush. Bing Sai Chuan's expression changed, turning ashen. The surprise attack that he had anticipated for so long had just started, but he already lost control of the situation. He manipulated Calamity Luck Altar with all his strength, but the killer move Chi wall was too strong. Even though this rank 8 Immortal Gu house could barely move now with a snail-like speed, the most despairing thing was that the Chi wall had a strong self-recovery ability. As Calamity Luck Altar moved, the Chi wall behind it healed and mended together. Just as Longevity Heaven's people suffered a setback, Eastern Sea's Gu Immortals arrived in Hidden Dragon Cave. To think that Hidden Dragon Cave is here. Song Chi Yuan sighed deeply to himself. Granny Rong snickered. This place is quite secluded indeed, but there is no such thing as absolutely hidden in this world. Yang Zihe added, back then, Di Zongxing wreaked havoc in Central Continent, Duke Long suppressed and sealed it here. It was a huge event. But because that was long ago in history, and because Heavenly Court wanted to exterminate the Dragon Man race, they were ruthless in eliminating the traces. He. Speaking of which, Duke Long is very vicious. For the sake of Heavenly Court, he sacrificed all of his children and descendants. Shen Songxing criticized with a tone of disdain. Eastern Sea's 8 Gu Immortals arrived here. It was the same situation as the previous life. To achieve this goal, Fang Yuan had put in a lot of effort secretly. On one hand, he used his status as Qi Si ancestor to hint to Song Chi Yuan and Hua Kai Yun. On another hand, he contacted Shen Songxing using his own identity, and finally, the 4 rank 8 lone cultivators in Eastern Sea were all Dragon Palace Dragon Generals. They obeyed Fang Yuan's arrangements. Fang Yuan was not sure about Hidden Dragon Cave's location originally, but after getting Dragon Palace, he saw related records in it. Back then, when Duke Long suppressed Di Zongxing, the Dragon Man race had put in effort too. After getting this secret information, Fang Yuan spread it using the mouths of the 4 Dragon Generals, influencing the decisions of all the different Eastern Sea Gu Immortals. These rank 8 Gu immortals from Eastern Sea were different from Southern Alliance and Longevity Heaven. They did not have any courageous spirit to take risks. In this life, they had no strong intention to gain Dragon Palace. Fang Yuan thus motivated them to release Di Zongxing from Hidden Dragon Cave and cause problems for Heavenly Court. Once Di Zongxing gets released, the entire world would shake, blood would flow into rivers, living beings would die. There would be no need for these Eastern Sea Gu immortals to fight. Once Central Continent's attention was drawn and they sent Gu immortals to deal with Di Zongxing, they would be weaker elsewhere. Eastern Sea's Gu immortals would have a great opportunity. There was another advantage: Di Zongxing would target and attack Central Continent's mortals. The more people it killed, the more foundation Central Continent would lose. Eastern Sea's righteous path rank 8s would not attack mortals with their status, it would ruin their reputation. Having Di Zongxing do the dirty work was best. At the fringe of Western Desert, the thin regional wall was in front them. The 5 regions are indeed fusing. The regional walls that once restricted our movement are already so thin and weak. Fang Gong looked at the scene in front of him as he sighed. Fang Yuan's clone, Fang Dichang, had a high status in Fang Clan. He managed to convince Fang Clan's first Supreme Elder and many Western Desert super forces to take action together. This was a much stronger group than in the previous life. But gathering so many Gu immortals used a lot of time. They only managed to assemble now. Oh no, that Blood Path demonic immortal is causing chaos in my clan. Right at this time, Sun Clan reported bad news. There is a brand new immemorial desolate beast attacking my clan's oasis. Mo Clan's Gu immortal also received bad news. Everyone. This is likely Heavenly Court's scheme. They want to restrain us so that we cannot stop them from repairing Fate Gu. Fang Dichang analyzed. Even though he had no proof, in order to stabilize these Gu immortals, lying was fine. No, I need to get back. I objected earlier when you asked us to move out. Our base is too weak now. I was right after all. In my opinion, we should play safe. Western Desert's resources are all in the oases. If they are destroyed, our clans will lose our foundation without the support of resources. The Western Desert Gu immortals discussed. They wanted to retreat. Damn it, Fang Clan took too long to develop. We do not have enough influence and authority. Fang Dichang gritted his teeth. He watched as a portion of Sun Clan and Mo Clan left. The nature of these two clans' Gu immortals is not so tough normally. I'm afraid Heavenly Court is involved with these two clans. Fang Dichang reacted at this time. With the departure of a portion of Sun Clan and Mo Clan, the other clans also wanted to leave, otherwise, their balance would be disrupted. Western Desert's Gu immortal world had gone into chaos earlier because of the rise of Fang Clan. Their relationship was tense now and nobody trusted each other. There was another fundamental problem. In history, Western Desert had never experienced any large-scale cooperation between super forces. Western Desert's Gu immortal world did not have any domineering overlord in history, unlike Southern Borders Wu Clan or Northern Plains Longevity Heaven. After some discussion, a portion of Western Desert's Gu immortals returned to their base. The rest of them still exceeded the numbers in the previous life. They passed the regional walls and arrived in Central Continent. Heavenly Court. Reports of battles were sent over rapidly. Hidden Dragon Cave is attacked by Eastern Sea's rank 8 Gu immortals. Gu immortal elites have appeared at Western Desert's fringe. They are heading towards Emperor City. Fairy Ziwei spoke. At this time, Duke Long slowly retreated from the front of the battlefield. Calamity Luck Altar was surrounded by the Qi Wall. There was a sizable area of movable space around it now. Heavenly Court's countless experts were attacking it from all directions. If Calamity Luck Altar retaliated, these Gu immortals would retreat into the Qi Wall and hide themselves, staying safe. After several attempts, Bing Sichuan had to activate Calamity Luck Altar's defense as they pressed forward. Because of Heavenly Court's Gu immortals' obstruction, Calamity Luck Altar could barely move forward slowly and with great difficulty. Duke Long had nothing much to do. The battlefield in Heavenly Court was already secured. Longevity Heaven was trapped and they would eventually fall. Duke Long heard Fairy Ziwei's reports as he said calmly, Qi Si Ancestor and Fang Yuan, have they not made a move? Nothing at the moment. Fairy Ziwei shook her head. The two people Duke Long was most wary of were these two. Qi Si ancestor had unparalleled strength, he rivaled Duke Long and was someone that Duke Long had to focus and keep his attention on. Meanwhile, even though Fang Yuan had rank 7 cultivation level, he inherited Red Lotus Demon Venerable's true inheritance, he might have some powerful method, he needed to be guarded against. Qi Si ancestor's attitude is unclear. Meanwhile, ever since Fang Yuan snatched Southern Border's dream realms, he vanished. He has a lot of dream realms on his hands now. Fairy Ziwei said slowly, she was going to analyze this further. What plan do you have? Duke Long interrupted her. Fairy Ziwei said, I plan to activate the formation and resist our external foes to force out Fang Yuan. There is also Qi Si ancestor who might possibly fight us, we need to force them to take action. Duke Long pondered before nodding, alright, we need to take the initiative. If we can establish our dominance in this battle, the 5 regions' chaotic war will be much easier to deal with. Fairy Ziwei quickly left and sat down at the central area of a formation. She activated the formation and released Star Constellation chessboard. The chessboard floated in the air and rotated on its own, innumerable starlight specks that resembled fireflies flew in the sky, entering the formation. Central Continent's people soon noticed a strange phenomenon. Many pointed at the sky and screamed, quickly look. There is starlight, there are actually stars in bright daylight. What is going on? Fang Dichang had just crossed the regional wall when he saw such a scene. Heavenly Court took action. This did not happen in my previous life. Fang Yuan also arrived in Central Continent, he looked at the sky silently while frowning. Heavenly Court had indeed prepared something new. At this moment, in the sky of Central Continent, bright lights shined, stars appeared during daytime, radiating heaven and earth. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1924, Flesh Whip Immortal. 1924 Flesh Whip Immortal. Central Continent, Hidden Dragon Cave. What is going on? Eastern Sea's 8 Gu immortals saw the change in the sky. In broad daylight, Central Continent's sky was covered in stars that shined brightly. This is likely Heavenly Court's method, but we do not know what effect it has. Qin Yuan frowned as he spoke. What is there to fear? We will deal with it when it comes, with our force, who can stop us? Unless Heavenly Court sends their main forces to face us. Yang Zi he laughed loudly. Indeed. Qin Yuan's frown eased a little. In this situation, Heavenly Court focused on repairing Fate Gu. Hidden Dragon Cave was just a small area at the corner of the big picture. If Heavenly Court sent their main forces here to resist Eastern Sea's Gu immortals, they would be disregarding the bigger problems. It would be a terrible decision. Enter the formation, destroy this formation and release Di Zongsheng, he will cause chaos in the world, we will then gain our opportunity. Yang Zi he encouraged them without acting suspicious. Let's wait for a while. Since we are going to take action, why the need to rush now? Song Chi Yuan had a composed mentality, since Heavenly Court has already used their method, we need to at least find out what it does, right? Song Chi Yuan's words made the Eastern Sea Gu immortals hesitant again. Yang Zihe and the other dragon generals cursed in their hearts, these Eastern Sea Righteous Path rank 8s were truly indecisive. They had already shown hostility to Heavenly Court but still did not want to destroy the formation immediately. They were concerned about this ridiculous starry sky because they were too worried about their own safety. If they were Northern Plains Gu immortals, they would have entered the formation already. No wonder Eastern Sea's Gu immortal world had the most wealth but still stayed suppressed and unable to resist Gu immortals of other regions. Fang Yuan did not want these Gu immortals to wait outside. The 4 dragon generals were enslaved by Dragon Palace, they were undoubtedly loyal. Among them, Granny Rong smiled as she said, if this method has just materialized and needs 3 days to take effect, are we going to wait 3 days here? This. Song Chi Yuan and the rest were uncertain. But at this moment, from the sky, grand starlight pillars shot down rapidly. The light pillars were shining in a bluish light, it was a grand sight. More than 10 pillars of light shot down together, encircling all 8 Eastern Sea Gu immortals. Next, the pillars faded away as a heavenly court Gu immortal appeared in the location of each pillar. The Eastern Sea immortals' expressions changed. In an instant, they were surrounded by heavenly court. The situation took a turn for the worse. You crawling worms dare to offend heavenly court. Zhang Fei Xiong said in a cold and domineering tone. You will die today. Wan Zihong licked her scarlet lips, oozing with killing intent. Those who offend Central Continent will be killed. Qin Song had a solemn expression. Enough talk, I'm going to attack now, Yaya. A female heavenly court immortal could not wait anymore, she charged forward. Her body was plump to its limit, she was like a meat cannonball that shot towards the Eastern Sea Gu immortals fearlessly. Eastern Sea's immortals were not united, they quickly split up. The fat female immortal missed her target, she screamed in anger, You cowards, why are you dodging? Come, fight your mommy for 300 rounds. Flesh Whip immortal is still so impatient. A heavenly court Gu immortal who knew about this female immortal sighed helplessly. Flesh Whip immortal is gentle and kind normally, but once she enters battle, she acts like what the rumors say. Many heavenly court Gu immortals watched with surprise. At once, the female immortal called Flesh Whip immortal chased after Eastern Sea's 8 Gu immortals while shouting vulgarities non-stop. She was extremely noisy. Vile woman, don't be too arrogant. Qin Yuan could not take it, he turned around to battle. Flesh Whip immortal was overjoyed, someone finally stopped running. Boom! The two used their killer moves that collided, causing a thunderous explosion. A huge shock wave burst out and caused the surrounding clouds to disperse and change form. Quickly go and reinforce Little Whip. Qin Song ordered. Among these Gu immortals, he was the most senior, even Flesh Whip immortal was his junior. Central Continent's immortals all charged forward at once. Among them, there was Zhu Ke who cultivated Fire Path and Transformation Path. There was Vortex Space Boy who cultivated Space Path and had terrifying killer moves. There was Yi Qiao Zi, Wu Shuang, Yu Zhu Zi, and others. They were all famous Heavenly Court experts in history. Not only did Heavenly Court side have more people, they even had excellent coordination. They created their battle tactic long ago, they erupted with great power. Eastern Sea's 8 Gu immortals were forced back time and again, they could not hold their own. This is a trap, let's retreat. Song Chi Yuan shouted with all his might. His words immediately received the acceptance of the other 3 righteous path members. With the enemies being this strong now, they could not fight forcefully. The 4 dragon generals remained silent. Without Fong Yuan's orders, they would not abruptly retreat. Amidst the chaotic battle, Zhu Ke suddenly pushed with her palm as a flame light was shot out. The flame light resembled a beautiful blade light as it slashed towards Granny Rong. Granny Rong and Zhao Shan he were currently fighting, seeing the approaching blade, she did not dodge it. At the crucial moment, Zhang Yin suddenly moved, a shadow appeared and blocked the flame light. Oh! There's something weird going on with these 2 Gu immortals. Zhu Ke's expression changed, she felt something amiss. Compared to the previous life, she had woken up much earlier, she made many preparations. She had already obtained information regarding Granny Rong and Zhang Yin. These 2 were lone immortals but they actually trusted each other this much, it was really rare. But soon, Zhu Ke found out that it was not only Zhang Yin and Granny Rong, Yang Zihe and Shimiao were also weird. These 4 rank 8s trusted each other completely, they were willing to let themselves be defended by one another in dangerous situations. Because of their coordination, they were able to resist the attacks of Heavenly Court's Gu immortals without losing. Fairy Ziwei was currently looking at the situation from her formation core in Central Hall. Starlight flashed in front of her, displaying the scene in Hidden Dragon Cave. Even though she was in Heavenly Court, she obtained first-hand information of the battlefield. What's wrong with these 4 Eastern Sea lone immortals? Their relationship should not be this close. Unless they set some sort of strict alliance agreement that allowed them to work together with complete trust. Fairy Ziwei could not think more, it was not the time to deduce this now. She considered it for a while before giving her orders. After getting her orders, Old Man Bei Feng, who was inside Hidden Dragon Cave, became revitalized. He quickly activated the formation. Intense lights appeared around the formation, its power spread out across the battlefield. Oh no! Quickly leave. Once we enter the formation, they will take us out one by one. Eastern Sea's immortals were flustered, they quickly shouted. But how could Heavenly Court's rank 8 Gu immortals allow them to leave? Immediately, killer moves were used to obstruct the Eastern Sea Gu immortals. They could not get out, they were swept into the formation along with the Heavenly Court Gu immortals. Both parties entered Hidden Dragon Cave's formation. Old Man Bei Feng, who was controlling the formation, grunted as his face turned pale, blood flowed out of his nostrils. Even though Hidden Dragon Cave's formation was powerful, taking in so many rank 8 Gu immortals at once was beyond Old Man Bei Feng's limits. "Grandfather, are you okay?" Feng Chanzi, who was at the side, asked with concern. He was Old Man Bei Feng's beloved grandson. If he did not make a mistake and was forced to guard Hidden Dragon Cave along with his grandfather, Old Man Bei Feng would have become a member of Heavenly Court already. But if I can make some contributions in this battle, Heavenly Court might recruit me. Old Man Bei Feng's eyes shined with bright light, he was filled with morale. Eastern Sea's rank 8s were trapped in the formation, they were split up. Heavenly Court's Gu immortals were also split up into different areas. This formation is mainly used to suppress and seal Dizongsheng, it does not have any power to cooperate with Gu immortals in battle. Every Gu immortal that enters the formation will be sent to a different area. Unless the formation is destroyed, there will not be 2 Gu immortals in the same area. Fairy Ziwei knew about Hidden Dragon Cave's formation, she ordered Heavenly Court's Gu immortals to retreat. While Eastern Sea's immortals were trapped inside. "I will leave this place to you," Qin Song said before leaving. "Don't worry, I will guard this place with my life. If anything happens, I will report it and seek reinforcements." Old Man Bei Feng said with a polite and serious attitude. "Very good." Qin Song felt assured as he brought the Heavenly Court Gu immortals to leave. At this time, more than 10 pillars of light shot down again, the blue starlight pillars enveloped all the Heavenly Court rank 8s. The pillars vanished, along with the rank 8 Gu immortals within. Feng Di Chang and the rest traveled in their immortal Gu house as they rushed towards Emperor City. Even though the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention was disrupted by Feng Yuan in advance in this life and had slower progress than the previous life, it was not even at the final round of the competition yet. But evidently, Emperor City was the only place that could protect them while not interfering with the Gu refinement and the restoration of Fate Gu. That place was already heavily guarded by Heavenly Court. Feng Di Chang thus asked the Western Desert Immortals to head to Emperor City. Western Desert's Immortals had surging morale. But at the next moment, starlight pillars appeared again, as more than 10 Heavenly Court Gu Immortals appeared. "Kill!" Flesh Whip Immortal charged forward again. But this time, Western Desert's Gu Immortals were not flustered. They were within their immortal Gu houses, they felt very safe. Watching as Flesh Whip Immortal attacked, even though she was a rank 8 Gu Immortal, she could not destroy an immortal Gu house instantly. What method is Heavenly Court using? They could transport so many rank 8s at the same time. Feng Di Chang did not think anymore, he mobilized several immortal Gu houses to resist the enemies. As a Wisdom Path Gu Immortal who controlled the strongest immortal Gu house Divine Bean Palace, he was selected as the leader of the group, he had the highest authority. Immortal Gu houses charged without care, it was Heavenly Court's time to dodge them. But 2 Gu immortals did not retreat. One was Zhang Fei Xiong, he turned into a giant with a bare head and human body, he resisted immortal Gu houses with his body. The other was Flesh Whip Immortal, she was a transformation path Gu Immortal, she transformed into a walking meat tree as her roots moved like legs, running rapidly, while her branches turned into countless whips that attacked in a frenzy. Crack crack crack. She was also resisting Immortal Gu houses. Several rank 7 Immortal Gu houses were forced to turn around and escape. Within Divine Beam Palace, Fang Dichang's expression was dark. Heavenly Court made changes, but this change is simply too huge. Zhang Fei Xiong, Wan Zihong, and Zhu Ke woke up in advance. Even experts like Flesh Whip Immortal appeared. And most importantly, what killer move is this? It can transport more than 10 rank 8 Gu Immortals at once. This is simply unheard of. With this move, Heavenly Court had the initiative to mobilize their main forces to attack anywhere they wanted. This was a very significant trump card in battle. As long as this move was not destroyed, Heavenly Court could fight in several battlefields at the same time. They could deal with anything that came at them. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1925, Heavenly Court S Initiative. 1925 Heavenly Court S Initiative. Crack crack crack. The tower-like walking meat tree was charging at the forefront. Thousands of octopus tentacle-like branches waved and created a sound of fierce wind whistling. They had awe-inspiring might. The Western Desert Gu Immortals' Immortal Gu houses were forced to retreat. Flesh Whip Immortal was able to resist Immortal Gu houses single-handedly. She was truly a rank 8 expert slumbering in the Heavenly Court Immortal Graveyard. Her strength was unquestionable. Of course, this was also the advantage of transformation path. Let us. At the crucial moment, Dong Clan's Gu Immortals spoke up. Similar to the previous life, Dong Clan still mobilized the rank 7 Immortal Gu House Red River Wheel. This Immortal Gu House looked like a water wheel or a giant tire, rotating while blazing with red flames. It crashed towards the walking meat tree. Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals saw this and their gazes focused. Immortal Gu houses charged head-on because it was the fastest method. It was usually not their strongest ability. According to the different types of Immortal Gu used to construct them, Immortal Gu houses had different Immortal killer moves. Right now, Red River Will had used its own killer move with overwhelming might to attack Flesh Whip Immortal. Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals were nervous. Similarly, Western Desert's Gu Immortals were also nervous. Red River Wheel was only a rank 7 Immortal Gu house. It could resist rank 8. If it crashed into Flesh Whip Immortal, they would be evenly matched. It would be damaged too. However, this result was still slightly favorable to Western Desert. Even if both of them were harmed, Red River Wheel would be able to recover by replacing the dead Gu. Flesh Whip Immortal, however, would be physically injured, and subsequent healing and recovery would be quite troubling. Come! At the crucial moment, Flesh Whip Immortal, instead of retreating, yelled in excitement and charged straight up. This person. Defend her. The Heavenly Court Gu Immortals reached a consensus in an instant. Zhang Fei Xiong growled again. He turned into a giant with a bare head and human body, charging towards Red River Wheel. Red River Wheel is strongest at the front and back, but the sides are the weakest. Let's help out Dong Clan. Immortal Gu House Jade Toad Castle was like a green meteor that crashed into Zhang Fei Xiong. Wan Zihong smiled delicately as countless petals drifted over the battlefield and landed on Red River Wheel. Its momentum continued to decline. Fong Clan's chicken dog coop came over to support, releasing chickens and dogs and other ancient desolate beasts to attack Wan Zihong. Wan Zihong was still maintaining her killer moves and had no time to dodge, so Yu Zhu Zi and Yi Xiao Zi appeared around her. One of them sprinkled countless jade beads and made a tinkling sound, while the other emitted a mass of yellow light, sometimes slow, sometimes fast. Chickens, dogs, and many other ancient desolate beasts were either smashed to death by the jade beads, or were temporarily trapped by the yellow light, hovering high in the air, unable to move. Damn it, this Wan Zihong is the demoness who scourged Western Desert in history and was recruited by Heavenly Court. Dong Clan's Gu Immortals were inside Red River Wheel, looking at Wan Zihong and gnashing their teeth. Dong Clan was a Western Desert righteous path force and hated Western Desert's demons the most, while this Wan Zihong was one of the most infamous demonesses in history. Seeing the Dong Clan's Red River Wheel's power was weakening, at this rate, it would be crushed by the walking meat tree. At the critical moment, a forest flower house-like Immortal Gu house was exerting its power behind the battlefield. Wan Zihong gave a soft cry as she suddenly felt her killer move go out of control. Countless petals rolled towards Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals instead. Wan Zihong muffled a grunt as her killer move failed and the backlash caused her to suffer considerable damage. Her eyes were like lightning as she stared at the culprit. It was Fong Clan's rank 7 Immortal Gu house, Fallen Flower Hall. Boom! At the next moment, the walking meat tree and Red River will finally collided together. Both sides immediately flew backwards. The walking meat tree had hundreds of severed fleshy tentacles, while the surface of the Red River wheels will was battered beyond recognition, losing over 3,000 Gu. Dong Clan's Gu immortals quickly started to repair it. This is really satisfying. Flesh Whip Immortal gritted her teeth and struggled to maintain the form of the walking meat tree. Although her injuries were not light, her fighting spirit was instead more vigorous. She was about to charge up again, but was stopped by Zhang Fei Xiong. "Let me fight, you should go back and heal your injuries." Zhang Fei Xiong had been knocked away by the Immortal Gu house earlier. He returned and immediately took the place of Flesh Whip Immortal. Flesh Whip Immortal, however, was stubborn and would not retreat in a deadly battle. "I won't. Let me charge, no one can stop me." As soon as the words were said, a giant pillar of starlight shot down violently overhead, covering Flesh Whip Immortal. Flesh Whip Immortal. In the next instant, she disappeared together with the giant pillar of starlight and returned to Heavenly Court. In Heavenly Court's battlefield, Calamity Luck Altar was still struggling to move forward, trying to break free from the Qi wall, but Duke Long was firmly blocking in front of it. Duke Long's tall body was like cast steel, and even if it was just one man, Calamity Luck Altar could not deal with him. Boom boom boom. Every time Duke Long attacked, it was accompanied by a fierce explosion, and just by using transformation path killer moves, Calamity Luck Altar could not move forward. After advancing 10 steps, it would often be knocked back 9 steps by Duke Long. Flesh Whip Immortal swallowed a mouthful of saliva, gazing up at the heroic fighting stance of Duke Long, feeling envious in her heart. When would she have such powerful strength? Light flickered around her, pale blue strands of flowing water wrapped around her, washing the Dao marks away to heal her wounds. This was a healing formation specially set up by Heavenly Court to greatly improve the efficiency of healing injuries. Heavenly Court's teleportation method can move groups as well as a single person to and fro. This is really troublesome. Fong Yuan's clone, Fong Di Chang, frowned deeply. Although he could not see the healing formation in Heavenly Court, he could deduce it easily with his brain. The key was that with such a method, Heavenly Court could quickly retreat. It was almost an extravagant hope for Western Desert side to kill or injure the Heavenly Court Gu immortals. They had to kill with a single blow, denying Heavenly Court any chance to teleport and heal their members. But how difficult was it to kill such experts among rank 8? It was not just Fong Di Chang, the vast majority of the Gu immortals recognized this. The morale of the Western Desert immortals began to plummet. Fong Di Chang secretly gritted his teeth. This is not good. Immediately, he activated Divine Beam Palace to move to the front line. "Everyone, let me do it." The Western Desert immortals were energized greatly. They hurriedly made way for Divine Beam Palace, casting expectant glances at it. The Heavenly Court Gu immortals saw an Immortal Gu house lofty as a mountain, majestic and imposing, rumbling and rushing as it attacked. All their hearts jumped. The same name flashed in the hearts of the immortals, Divine Beam Palace. Immortal Killer Move, Myriad Life Spring Lightning. Divine Beam Palace shook intensely, countless sparks that resembled dragons or snakes coiled around the palace. Lightning gathered into beads of jade green lightning balls as they exploded around the palace. Rumble. Heavenly Court's Gu immortals dodged wildly, not daring to face the attack. Even transformation path Zhang Fei Xiong had reverted to his human body, flying around in a very sad state. Myriad Life Spring Lightning, life and death was interlinked, destruction and creation were gathered into one move. After exploding, Dao marks would be left in the battlefield, creating an environment that was advantageous to the user. How can we fight this? This time, it was the Heavenly Court Gu immortals' turn to feel helpless. It is, after all, an Immortal Gu house created by Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable himself. Sigh, how did it end up in the hands of Western Desert's Gu immortals? The Heavenly Court Gu immortals were resentful and without options. All of them were thinking of retreating. One of the Heavenly Court Gu immortals was pale and chubby. He was Zhao Shanhe, who was now looking at Yu Zhuzi. Yu Zhuzi nodded at him as they suddenly gathered together. At the same time, the other Heavenly Court Gu immortals were surrounding the two of them, planning and defending around them. Zhao Shan he was a Food Path Gu immortal and Yu Zhu Zi was Earth Path. They both unleashed a move together, sitting and eating the mountain empty. The killer move enveloped the entire battlefield. Western Desert's immortal Gu houses could not dodge it. After it was used, starlight pillars flashed in the sky for an instant. At the next moment, all of the Heavenly Court rank 8s left the battlefield. The intense and chaotic battle was left with only Western Desert's immortal Gu houses. Even though Western Desert's Gu immortals forced back Heavenly Court, their expressions turned ugly. Because they found out that many of the Gu worms in the immortal Gu houses were weakening, soon, their aura fell to rock bottom as Gu worms died one by one. Not only that, the Gu immortals in the houses were also getting hit. Many of their immortal essence beads started to disintegrate and disappear. This was all caused by that move. What kind of killer move was it? Not only did the immortal Gu houses get affected, but even the Gu immortals inside the houses were not spared. This should be the profundity of Food Path. Because of that, it's hard to defend against using our immortal Gu houses. The Western Desert Gu immortals discussed and exchanged ideas. They soon guessed correctly. Food Path had been too limited in circulation. Western Desert's righteous path did not have a lot of Food Path inheritances. Their defense against it was too low. It was a weakness. And most importantly, Zhao Shan he was a Food Path expert on Heavenly Court's side. This will not do. Heavenly Court fights and retreats when they want to. As long as they give Zhao Shan he and Yu Zhu Zi the chance to use this move each time, we will lose all our strength and resources over time. Everyone. We must hurry up and rush to Emperor City as soon as possible to force Heavenly Court to fight us to the death. There, they won't retreat so easily. Fong Dichang analyzed the situation and advocated. The Western Desert Gu immortals agreed. In a short period of time, they had no way to counter Heavenly Court's teleportation killer move and could only use this method to restrain Heavenly Court. Zhao Shan he and the others returned to Heavenly Court once again. The injured ones all went to the healing formation to recover, while the rest were focusing on their recuperation while communicating with each other on how they should work better together. After a fierce battle with Western Desert's various immortal Gu houses, these Gu immortals suffered no losses, and the most seriously injured person, Flesh Whip Immortal, was almost healed completely, alive and well once again. Unlike the previous life, these Gu immortals, because of their early awakening, not only possessed a full range of immortal Gu, but they also had a certain level of mutual cooperation. Immortal Gu houses are just hard to fight. Divine Bean Palace is the most troublesome of them all. What are you worried about? A few more rounds and Western Desert's side will collapse. They won't be able to reach Emperor City. Have Fong Yuan and Qi Si Ancestor not done anything? Quickly do something, we can't wait anymore. Gu immortals were all experts that had huge reputation at some point in time. They were overflowing with confidence and morale. The truth was, Fong Yuan was the one who caused this situation. Since rebirth, Fong Yuan had been gaining victories over Heavenly Court multiple times. Star constellations will felt a huge threat from this and awaken many Gu immortals in advance. It was unlike the previous life when Longevity Heaven attacked, in which Heavenly Court had fallen into a crisis and had to awaken many Gu immortals in a hurry. They were unable to display their true battle strength. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1926, Northern Plains, Retaliation. 1926 Northern Plains, Retaliation. Quickly stop them. Fong Dichang shouted. Western Desert's immortal Gu houses tried their best to stop Zhao Shan he and Yu Zhu Zi. But in front of them, Heavenly Court's Gu immortals were putting up a tight defense. Roar! Zhang Fei Xiong turned into a giant, obstructing an immortal Gu house relentlessly. Crack crack crack. Flesh Whip Immortal turned into an immemorial walking meat tree. She waved her branches and whipped at the immortal Gu houses. They were knocked about and spinning around all over the place. Bam bam bam. All kinds of immortal killer moves erupted, as if they were large bursts of fireworks, incomparably splendid and powerful. These were all rank 8 killer moves of Heavenly Court's Gu immortals. the immortal Gu houses of Western deserts suffered a serious obstruction, inevitably hesitating. Taking advantage of this time, Zhao Shanhe and Yu Zhuzi finished their preparation and unleashed their immortal killer move, sitting and eating the mountain empty. Western desert's Gu immortals were hit again. They then helplessly watched as a giant pillar of starlight shot down, teleporting away the central continent Gu immortals. At the next moment, they returned to Heavenly Court. As the Gu immortals healed their wounds, they exchanged conversations. It's really getting harder and harder to use the killer move, sitting and eating the mountain empty. After all, the other side has elites of an entire region, so they cannot be underestimated. As the saying goes, if a fool suffers sufficient losses, he will become wiser. But their strength has also been weakened quite badly, so they probably won't be able to hold out after 2 more times. The Gu immortals were full of morale, and the more they fought, the higher their spirits became. Guh. At this moment, Qin Song's face turned pale and he coughed out a small mouthful of blood. His blood was yellowish-brown, and there were countless small insects jumping around in the blood foam. Senior Qin, are you injured? Zhou Xianxia, who was standing right next to Qin Song, asked with concern. Zhou Xianxia was dressed in a white robe. He had a strong physique and a squarish face with thick eyebrows. In his last battle with Fang Yuan, he activated the fastest battlefield killer move in the world, Rumor Cage, and once caused Fang Yuan to fall into a dangerous battle. In the end, Fang Yuan was even more calculating and used the arrangements left by the organization Defy to plot and kill Zhou Xianxia. But this time, Fang Yuan was reborn. Zhou Xianxia was thus alive and one of the many Gu immortals that fought along with Heavenly Court. Qin Song weakly shook his head. This is an old injury, it is not from the fight earlier. The Heavenly Court Gu immortals all gathered around to check on Qin Song's state. Even Fairy Ziwei came here. Qin Song was the key person now. The reason why Heavenly Court was able to display such a powerful star-cast killer move was not only with the help of the related formation and star constellation chessboard, but also relying on Qin Song's strength. Qin Song was most skilled at teleportation. In the previous life, he was the one who brought the Heavenly Court Gu immortals on a long journey to quickly make their way to Dizongsheng. At that time, he did not have his complete set of immortal Gu. He used killer moves without caring about his own condition, causing him to die prematurely. This life, however, he had awakened earlier. The situation was much better. Not only were his immortal Gu comprehensive, he also got to use an advanced lifespan extension method. Qin Song's seniority was very high. He had gone into hibernation long ago. During his hibernation, Heavenly Court had many new findings and improvement in their research on lifespan extension methods. As time passed, there were bound to be improvements. As a result, Qin Song's lifespan was extended to a certain extent, but the repeated battles made him repeatedly exert himself, and his health declined rapidly. His lifespan was greatly reduced. Based on your current physical state, I'm afraid you can only use 4 movement killer moves at most. Beyond that number, your flesh and soul will all collapse. Fairy Ziwei calculated for a moment and spoke. 4 times. Qin Song smiled and coughed out another mouthful of yellow blood with a calm demeanor. It is enough to defeat Western Desert, and there's still room to spare, so maybe we can deal a blow to Southern Border as well. Or maybe Eastern Sea's Gu immortals. As for after my death, it will be up to all of you. The Heavenly Court Gu immortals were silent. Only Flesh Whip Immortal grinned. Don't worry, old man Qin, I'm here. There was nothing they could do about Qin Song's state. The cause behind all of this was his old injury, an injury that he had brought with him from exploring Reckless Savage's grave. It could not be treated in the past, and now it was still fatal. Fairy Ziwei, however, did not order a further attack. She was pondering in her head. Without Qin Song, Heavenly Court would not have the ability to teleport in groups. Relying on star constellation chessboard alone would be too inefficient, and it would seriously reduce her own ability to deduce and calculate. Fairy Ziwei had experience in using star cast. This killer move consumed too many thoughts. If she had to use this killer move, she would no longer have the extra energy to look over the big picture. This was clearly not worth it for Heavenly Court. It would be fine if it was just one battlefield, but Heavenly Court was fighting in at least 3 battlefields. They were facing not only the powerful elites of the 4 regions, there was still Fang Yuan, the demon who had yet to do anything. As the leader and strategist of Heavenly Court in both the previous life and this life, Fairy Ziwei had to oversee the whole situation. What a pity, there is no wisdom path Gu immortal awakening in the immortal graveyard this time. Fang Yuan has yet to make a move, and Qi Si ancestor has made no movements either. If we waste Qin Song early at this time, it will be bad if there is a sudden change in the battle in the future. Fairy Ziwei pondered deeply, unwilling to expend a key force like Qin Song in advance. She always considered one thing: Fang Yuan possessed a killer move using fixed immortal travel, as well as the ancient battle formation omnidirectional travel. He could quickly appear in any place in Central Continent. If Heavenly Court preserved the remaining uses of their star cast method, when they deal with Fang Yuan in the future, it would be much easier. Right now, we have 4 battlefields. They are in Heavenly Court, Hairy Foot Mountain, Emperor City, and Hidden Dragon Cave. Fairy Ziwei looked around, analyzing as she spoke. Of these 4 battlefields, Heavenly Court's battlefield is the most important. Once we are breached and Fate Gu gets destroyed by Longevity Heaven, all hope is lost. The second most important is Hairy Foot Mountain. If Infallible Blessed Land is destroyed and we don't refine enough success Dao marks, it will have a huge impact on our ability to repair fate. However, this is not irrevocable. Even if the Infallible Blessed Land is destroyed and we don't have enough success Dao marks, Fate Gu would still be alive. In the future, with new developments in refinement path, we might be able to find other ways to repair Fate Gu. After that is Emperor City. The Western Desert Immortals are moving with their forces aimed straight at Emperor City. But after our repeated strikes, their vigor has been lost. Emperor City itself is already heavily guarded and defended by human path methods left by Venerables. Even if it is destroyed and the elites are all dead, it is not very important. In 100 years, more elites will emerge. Finally, there is Hidden Dragon Cave. Although there are many Eastern Sea Rank 8 Gu Immortals, they are not looking to kill and only want to seek gains. The formation and Old Man Bei Feng alone won't be able to defend against them, but delaying them for a while is more than enough. During this period of time, we only needed to support them once to stabilize the situation over there. A Gu Immortal asked, "So, what is your decision?" Fairy Ziwei cast her gaze towards Calamity Luck Altar in the Qi Wall. "Let's take care of Longevity Heaven first. With Heavenly Court secure and Fate Gu safe, even if the situation outside is completely lost, we will always be in an impregnable position." After a pause, she continued, "In addition to that, it will also allow Senior Qin Song to preserve his health, preventing Fang Yuan and Qi Si ancestor from suddenly making a move." Great! These are truly the words of a great strategist. I'm also feeling uneasy about trapping Calamity Luck Altar in our headquarters. After all, they are the descendants of Giant Sun, so they might unleash a surprising attack anytime. We will listen to you. After listening carefully, the Heavenly Court Gu Immortals all approved of this plan. As a result, the Immortals stopped attacking at a long range. They entered the Qi Wall and fought Longevity Heaven fiercely. The Qi Wall in Heavenly Court was left behind by Primordial Origin Immortal Venerable. After so many years, except for the 3 paths that were opened by the 3 Venerables, the rest of the Qi Wall was still strong and enduring. And even worse was that the Qi Wall still retained its autonomous abilities. Heavenly Court Gu Immortals were allowed to move freely in it, while Longevity Heaven's Gu Immortals were restricted by a strong force. There was a hemispherical battlefield in the Qi Wall. Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals bombarded Calamity Luck Altar with a barrage of attacks with their backs against the wall. Once Calamity Luck Altar retaliates, these Gu Immortals would rapidly retreat, entering the Qi Wall and using it to block Calamity Luck Altar's attack. Because of this, Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals were able to attack with their full strength. Calamity Luck Altar's surface was filled with cracks. As in Rank 8 Immortal Gu House, Calamity Luck Altar itself was extremely sturdy, and it was created by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable himself, so it had a clear advantage in charging. It was simply unreasonable. But all along, it was always obstructed by a Gu Immortal. This person was Duke Long. His body was slowly growing minute by minute, his face was like iron, his body was robust, and the defense of violet gold dragon scales all over his body was extremely amazing. Transformation path killer moves were being unleashed as he desired. The moves were domineering and fierce, blocking Calamity Luck Altar firmly. Be they Calamity Luck Altar or killer moves of Heavenly Court's Gu immortals that he was in range of, he held firm, as if he was a pillar of heaven. All of the rank 8 killer moves felt like just a light breeze. In the previous life, Duke Long and the Eastern Sea Gu immortals fought for Dragon Palace, and although he succeeded, he was seriously injured. By the time the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention was held, Duke Long was still injured, so his performance in battle was not so shocking at the start. In this life, because Fong Yuan had obtained Dragon Palace in advance, Duke Long was in a fully intact state and could attack Calamity Luck Altar to the point where it could not inch forward. Duke Long is actually so strong. Bing Sai Chuan was livid. The accompanying Bull Demon, Flower Lady, and 5 Elements Grandmaster were all desperately trying their best to repair Calamity Luck Altar. This won't work. Without breaking through the barrier in front of us, we won't be able to get close to Heaven Overseeing Tower. In Calamity Luck Altar, Mao Li Chiu lay down on the ground, yelling out in dissatisfaction. Bing Sai Chuan struggled for a while internally before he sighed, "There is no other way, activate the killer move Call of the Ancient." Calamity Luck Altar suddenly stood still and abruptly exploded with a round of golden light. The light was so dazzling that it caused Duke Long to squint his eyes. Swish swish swish. The sound of river waves surging through the battlefield resounded. The phantom image of a segment of the Grand River of Time appeared above Calamity Luck Altar. This is... Duke Long's heart was slightly shaken. Then, following the astonished eyes of the Heavenly Court Gu Immortals, Northern Plains Gu Immortals walked out of the phantom river of time one by one. "Come on, eat one of my explosive lightning bolts." The tall-bodied New Heir Bao Xiong laughed wildly. "To think that I can use this move to come to the future and participate in a huge battle, I am truly fortunate." Hei Fan had a slight smile. "Wow! What a huge battle, oh heavens, I better hide somewhere." Lu 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 had a delicate white face, he had a crafty look as his body vanished on the spot. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1927, Asking Fong Yuan for Reinforcements. 1927 Asking Fong Yuan for Reinforcements. What happened? These are all historically famous experts from Northern Plains, they've actually been summoned here. The Heavenly Court Gu Immortals were all surprised. Duke Long said in a deep voice, "Attention everyone, this is Red Lotus Demon Venerable's Time Path Killer move, Call of the Ancient. It can summon closely related Gu Immortals from the upstream of the River of Time to the present to fight for the user." That's interesting. Flesh Whip Immortal licked her lips, her fighting spirit surging as she rushed up. "Let me do it." Zhang Fei Xiong transformed into a giant, together with Flesh Whip Immortal, they crashed into Calamity Luck Altar from the left and right. But at this time, Calamity Luck Altar was already guarded. New Heir Bao Xiong roared wildly and used his immortal killer move, lightning balls flew everywhere, exploding fiercely. For a moment, Flesh Whip Immortal and Zhang Fei Xiong were both blocked by the lightning balls, their attacks were thwarted. Zhu Ke Air squealed and used her movement killer move, drawing a bright and stunning red trail of light through the air and circling behind Calamity Luck Altar. Don't even think about it. A male immortal stepped out of the phantom river of time to block Zhu Ke Air. He had a handsome face like jade, graceful and dashing, his gaze carried a faint smile, it was Dong Fangyu. Boom boom boom. Zhu Ke Air and Dong Fangyu fought a fierce battle. Immortal killer move, sitting and eating the mountain empty. Immortal killer move, sitting and eating the mountain empty. In the distance, Zhao Shanhe and Yu Zhuzi joined forces once again and successfully activated the killer move. The killer move worked on Calamity Luck Altar with very little effect. Calamity Luck Altar was worthy of being created by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, its defense against Food Path was quite strong. Yi Xiaozi's killer moves followed one after another. Wooden stakes were created out of thin air, forming a circle to trap Calamity Luck Altar. Yi Xiaozi grunted in a low tone again, and countless bright green vines grew from the wooden stakes, wrapping around Calamity Luck Altar and spreading upwards in an attempt to stain the phantom river of time. It's useless. This phantom river of time cannot be attacked, only by defeating Calamity Luck Altar which is sustaining it can we put an end to this move. Duke Long was about to make a move. But another Heavenly Court Gu Immortal suddenly teleported towards the phantom river of time. This Gu Immortal resembled a child with black hair, he had a small cowlick on the top of his head, his face was round and cute. It was none other than Vortex Space Boy. His aura surged as a huge vortex appeared above it had an immense suction force that destroyed anything that got drawn into it. But the phantom river of time remained unmoved, completely unaffected. Another newly appeared Northern Plains Gu Immortal had just walked out, he could not react in time before the vortex sucked him in. Ha ha ha, at least I had some gains. Vortex Space Boy laughed as he exerted even more force. Nian Air Tribe's expert was trapped inside, Nian Air Nong Fu. He looked like an old farmer, his pants were rolled up, his legs were covered in mud, his back was hunched, wrinkles covered his face. Trapped at this moment, he sighed, oh my, I'm going to die in battle as soon as I get out. Seriously? Of all the Northern Plains Gu Immortals, I'm the least proficient at fighting. The small face of Vortex Space Boy puffed up as he did his best to grind and crush Nian Air Nong Fu. Nian Air Nong Fu was guarded by a pale yellow halo of light, it was thin but very strong, firmly resisting the crazy force of the spinning vortex. Another Gu Immortal came out from the illusory river of time, seeing that Nian Air Nong Fu was trapped, he was about to rescue him. However, Heavenly Court Gu Immortal Zhou Xiong Xian also arrived in time to stop the man. Yi Lui Ko also came out, his skin was dark and his eyes were like a falcon, scanning the battlefield. He suddenly found the weakest Gu Immortal in Heavenly Court, Qin Song. Qin Song's weakened state was hard to conceal. Yi Lui Ko sneered and attacked Qin Song straight away. Your opponent is me. A beautiful female immortal intercepted Yi Lui Ko while he was on his way. Yi Lui Ko gazed at the female immortal, feeling a certain threat to his life. Who are you? The female immortal smiled fawningly, but her words were murderous. Your killer, Wan Zihong. As the two fought, golden light flashed and petals flew. Figures flew in the sky or fought on the ground. Intense explosions continued to resound, sparks were flying, bright lights were flashing. Northern Plains Gu Immortal experts fought against Heavenly Court's members. Rumble. Zhang Fei Xiong's flesh was torn by New Air Bao Xiong's explosions. Crack crack crack. Flesh Whip Immortal smacked Yuan Ben so hard that the white bone armor Yuan Ben was wearing got smashed to pieces, he was forced to retreat. Nian Air Nong Fu was still resisting, while Vortex Space Boy was gritting his teeth, refusing to give up. Surrounding the two who were deadlocked in battle, several Gu Immortals were also engaged in a fight. The Gu Immortals were all beginning to suffer injuries, the air was filled with the thick smell of blood. Even though I used the killer move, Call of the Ancient, I am actually being pressured. Bing Sai Chuan gritted his teeth, his heart growing heavier. The trump card he had pinned his hopes on did not turn the tables around, it only saved him from defeat and deadlocked the situation. In the previous life, Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals had awakened hastily from the Immortal Graveyard, and despite the emergency deployment of the Immortal Gu by Fairy Ziwei, their battle strength was still crippled. But this life was different, these Heavenly Court Gu Immortals had great battle strength and were in good condition, enough to fight with the strong Northern Plains and even suppress them. After all, there had been a lot of cooperation between the Heavenly Court Gu Immortals, while Northern Plains' historically powerful experts had just been summoned, they had heard of each other at most, in their own lives, how could they have worked together? This can't continue. The longer Call of the Ancient lasts, the more experts it will continue to summon into battle. Fairy Ziwei frowned, feeling both worried and glad. Thankfully, she had placed priority on dealing with Longevity Heaven, this killer move was really troublesome. If they had used Star Cast earlier, the loss of Qin Song and the scattering of Heavenly Court's experts would likely allow Longevity Heaven to succeed and rush out of the Qi Wall. After all, there were few Gu immortals left in Heavenly Court, and Yuan Xiongdu and the others had to preside over the refinement path Gu formation. The only main force that could block Calamity Luck Altar was Duke Long. Duke Long gazed at the phantom river of time for a while, before slowly withdrawing his gaze. He sighed in his heart. He could not unravel this killer move. It was like how he could not deal with the support of the future killer move that Red Lotus Demon Venerable used back then. If it can't be broken directly, then all we need to do is to demolish Calamity Luck Altar. Thinking of this, Duke Long slowly clenched his fists and stepped into the battlefield. Yi Xiaozi suddenly coughed blood. The killer move backlash caused him to suffer heavy injuries. He had been cooperating with Duke Long to investigate and restrain Calamity Luck Altar. But how could the rank 8 immortal Gu house be so easily restrained? Yi Xiaozi had to retreat into the Qi Wall, while Calamity Luck Altar stirred, trying to break through the Qi Wall. Duke Long silently approached Calamity Luck Altar. Block him. Bing Sai Chuan ordered coldly. He was someone from Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's generation, while most of the experts of Northern Plains were descendants of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, so they naturally listened to him. New Air Bao Xiong was the first to strike. Hundreds of lightning balls smashed towards Duke Long. Boom boom boom. With a series of deafening explosions, smoke and dust rose. New Air Bao Xiong laughed wildly. Have you tasted my power yet? Ha ha ha, ah. A figure gradually walked out of the smoke and dust. Duke Long's face was indifferent, his body as straight as a spear, his violet gold dragon scales still gleaming, leaving only a trace of ash at most. New Air Bao Xiong was furious. He stared with glaring eyes, his aura soaring wildly. Take this move from me again. He held his hands above his head and countless thunderbolts gathered into a huge deep blue lightning ball. The surface of the lightning ball was lingering with electricity, but inside it was dark and deep. New Air Bao Xiong threw it like a meteor shooting towards Duke Long. Duke Long was finally willing to avert his gaze, but only gave a glance at the lightning ball. He waved his hand. Rumble. The air current soared, forming a big hand, and with a slap on the back of his hand, the lightning ball was sent flying far away with ease. New Air Bao Xiong's powerful killer move was thus dealt with by Duke Long. At the next moment, Yu Yangzi, Lu Hui, and Lu Lu attacked one after another, while Duke Long went straight to Calamity Luck Altar without looking at them. Only by destroying Calamity Luck Altar would Call of the Ancient be stopped. Boom! Calamity Luck Altar was punched by Duke Long and sunk into the ground. A fist crater appeared on the surface of the immortal Gu house. A large number of Gu worms died in battle, even the immortal Gu were damaged. The killer moves of the Northern Plains experts seemed like a downpour of rain, drowning Duke Long. But after the continuous bombardment, Duke Long was still standing, only a light layer of soot was added on his face. How is this possible? How can this person be so strong? He is Duke Long, the master of Red Lotus Demon Venerable. Someone identified Duke Long as the Gu immortals of Northern Plains drew a sharp breath of cold air. He was an old monster. But at the next moment, the morale of the people of Northern Plains soared again. They had a brave nature. The stronger Duke Long was, the more excited they became. Kill! 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 Decapitate this old fellow! Protect Calamity Luck Altar and break out of the Qi Wall. The Northern Plains Gu immortals roared wildly, fighting to break out and setting off a flurry of attacks. These Northern Plains lunatics. Humph, brutish cavemen. The Heavenly Court Gu immortals had to retreat and back off for a while. Faced with the relentless spirit of Northern Plains Gu immortals to fight to the death, Duke Long could not continue to ignore it this time. He snorted lightly, annoying pests. As soon as his words fell, the aura around him changed. Qi currents rushed and spread everywhere, while Duke Long's body became firm like a mountain. His aura soared rapidly. The killer move was prepared as Duke Long waved his hand. Whoosh! Air was forcefully pushed aside. 5 grand Qi waves flew forward overbearingly. Everywhere they went, the killer moves of Northern Plains experts broke apart like paper. They could not stop the Qi waves. It was immortal killer move. Qi current scissors. Duke Long extended his hand to the sky and pointed. Immortal killer move, Qi breath mountain. Rumble. A huge translucent mountain created from Qi currents descended and pressed down immediately. The Northern Plains Gu immortals wanted to escape, but several of them could not dodge. They were pushed down by the Qi breath mountain as it crashed towards Calamity Luck Altar, turning into meat paste on the spot. The entire mountain of Qi currents pressed down on Calamity Luck Altar so hard that the ground was shaking violently. Calamity Luck Altar was originally ready to attack, but now, it was immobilized. Duke Long unleashed 2 moves in a row. The effect was immediate. He suppressed the entire battle. Bing Sai Chuan's expression was livid, his heart sank to rock bottom. He now realized that they could not break through the Qi wall with their own strength alone. Ignoring the other Gu immortals, just Duke Long alone was a mountain they could not pass. It was not that Bing Sai Chuan had no other trump cards. In the previous life, he asked Limitless to turn around, restraining Duke Long for a long time. He was unable to move entirely. But in this life, Calamity Luck Altar was too far away from Imperfection Regret Pavilion. This method could not be used. In the previous life, Calamity Luck Altar reached Central Great Hall before asking for Limitless help. We can only ask Fong Yuan for help. Bing Sai Chuan had a thought in his mind. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1928, Fong Yuan takes action. 1928 Fong Yuan takes action. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had once told Bing Sai Chuan, if the plan to attack Heavenly Court fails, and Longevity Heaven loses all hope of getting Fate Gu, they would need to ask the crucial person for reinforcement. Who is the crucial person? Back then, Bing Sai Chuan asked this question. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable then answered him, whoever destroys 88 True Yang Building is the crucial person. When the time comes, you will definitely know. Longevity Heaven's plan was to refine Destiny Gu. They needed to snatch Fate Gu first. But unlike the previous life, Bing Sai Chuan had suffered a serious setback this time. He had no choice but to ask for help from Fong Yuan. By the time he received the letter from Bing Sai Chuan, Fong Yuan was already in Central Continent, hiding inside a formation of the organization Defy. This large formation was set up by Shadow Sect and left for Defy to use as a base camp. However, after the Battle of Tian Mountain, Shadow Sect perished. Defy was uprooted by Fairy Z Wei, resulting in this formation turning vacant. In the previous life, Fong Yuan used this formation to successfully kill Zhou Xianxia. In this life, the situation had changed and Fong Yuan retreated early, not tangling with Zhou Xianxia too much in order to guard against the Killer Move people's accusation. As a result, Zhou Xianxia survived and became a fierce member of the main force of Heavenly Court, while this formation in Defy was preserved. To think that Longevity Heaven would encounter such trouble. Fong Yuan's eyes flickered as he rapidly pondered. He had been unaware of the situation in Heavenly Court now. This letter containing Bing Sai Chuan's request for help described their precarious predicament in detail. Compared to the previous life, Fong Yuan soon found the key to Longevity Heaven's problem. They were relocated into the Qi wall the moment they arrived. It should be because of Qin Dingling. With a luck path Gu immortal like her, Heavenly Court could find out Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's arrangement in advance. They even managed to use this to ambush Longevity Heaven instead. Fong Yuan understood. This is yet another change. There is also Call of the Ancient, so it turns out that once Calamity Luck Altar activates it, it can teleport immediately. In the previous life, Bing Sai Chuan used this against Duke Long. Before getting this information, Fong Yuan had been wondering about Heavenly Court's method to use Star Cast on a large scale, trying to find a way to break it. How greatly Fairy Z Wei valued it and did everything possible to preserve the method was how greatly Fong Yuan wanted to destroy it. By now, Fong Yuan had deduced that this formation was in Heavenly Court, with the core being Star Constellation chessboard and the countless stars scattered in the sky. The power of the formation was projected onto these stars, using them as the springboard to create a large-scale star cast effect. Fong Yuan did not deduce that Qin Song was the key figure. In his previous life, Qin Song made a very brief appearance and died after escorting the Heavenly Court Gu immortals to Hidden Dragon Cave. Later, the Eastern Sea Gu immortals did not inform Fang Yuan of this information. Lacking this crucial clue, Fang Yuan's deduction had hit an impasse. But now he had become somewhat aware of it. According to the information conveyed by Bing Sai Chuan, although Fairy Zi Wei did not participate in the siege, she also appeared outside the Qi wall to observe the battle. That's a bit strange, this massive use of star cast should exert all her effort, yet she's still able to distract herself. Someone is helping her. Who is that? Is there another wisdom path great expert? Or did others cooperate to create a successful large-scale use of star cast? Fang Yuan quickly threw away this train of thought. Now was not the time to contemplate this question, he had to make a decision as soon as possible. As a wisdom path Gu immortal, Fang Yuan was now like a chess player who was playing against Fairy Zi Wei. Both sides had their own chess pieces. Fairy Zi Wei was clearly a number of pieces ahead, not only in her own wisdom path attainment, but also Heavenly Court's unity, and in the current situation, she had a distinct advantage. Fang Yuan had a seemingly huge force at his disposal, but in reality, they were fighting on their own. He could only exert influence and push his agenda on the people of the four regions subtly. Although his subordinates were numerous and far surpassed the previous life, few were qualified to participate in a battle of such a level. Fang Yuan fully considered the entire Central Continent battlefield once again. In infallible blessed land, the southern border Gu immortals entered the battlefield and fought, breaking formations one after another, but this was not a concern for the 9 consecutive unceasing formation, there were endless subformations. In the battlefield of Hidden Dragon Cave, the Eastern Sea immortals were trapped in a large formation and were struggling to break it. However, it was clear that Old Man Bei Feng could still hold on for a while longer. As for Emperor City's battlefield, the Western Desert Gu immortals were still on their way, their morale was low too. In Heavenly Court's battlefield, Longevity Heaven was completely at a disadvantage, and since they were ambushed by Heavenly Court, they had completely lost the initiative. Of the 4 main battlefields, the most important is still Heavenly Court's battlefield. Fate Gu is in Heavenly Court. If we want to win this battle, we must destroy Fate Gu. Fang Yuan thought, just like Fairy Zi Wei's analysis, both sides knew where the most important place was. That being the case, we cannot lose in Heavenly Court. Longevity Heaven's performance is so disappointing, I was hoping that they would cause problems for Heavenly Court and trigger Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable's painting path methods first. Fang Yuan knew that he had to support Bing Sai Chuan even though he had deceived Fang Yuan for his own interests in the previous life, and also in this current life. For the sake of the entire situation, Fang Yuan had to provide support. Heavenly Court Battlefield. Immortal Killer Move, Chaotic Dragon Fist. Steel fists shook Calamity Luck Altar, the force of the punch caused tremors as countless Gu worms perished instantly. Within Calamity Luck Altar, Mao Li Qiu shouted, "Let me out. Let me hold him back." Bing Sai Chuan had a cold expression and shook his head, "No, you are no match for him. You'll be courting death if you go. You're not like the others, Heavenly Court's Gu immortals will target you." Duke Long ignored Northern Plains' generations of experts, he let the other Heavenly Court members deal with them. Heavenly Court knew clearly that they could only stop Call of the Ancient by destroying Calamity Luck Altar. But once Mao Li Qiu entered battle, it would be different. It was a fierce general of Longevity Heaven, it had great strength and killing Mao Li Qiu would greatly weaken Longevity Heaven, he would definitely take action. Immortal Killer Move, World-Shaking Dragon Hammer. Duke Long shouted, he raised his fists above his head and smashed down like a giant hammer. The surface of Calamity Luck Altar shattered, a huge amount of Gu worms died, their carcasses flying everywhere. A large hole was smashed open on the surface of Calamity Luck Altar, it was only the size of a finger but the inside could be seen. Duke Long roared, "Longevity Heaven, only defeat awaits you." This outcome was already predetermined from the moment you tried to attack Heavenly Court. Heavenly Court's Gu immortals cheered, their morale climbing to its peak. The might of Duke Long is overwhelming. Bing Sai Chuan sighed long and hard, feeling a sense of powerlessness. Why hasn't Fang Yuan come to support us? Five Elements Grandmaster called out, inevitably revealing a sense of trepidation. As far as I know, Fang Yuan is only rank 7, even if he repeatedly defeated Heavenly Court, he was only taking advantage of the River of Time. If he comes to support us, will he really be able to change the battle situation? Even if he brings out myriad your flying warship, the other side has Duke Long. Bull Demon spoke, expressing doubt. Indeed, as of now, it would be difficult to resist Duke Long with just 2 rank 8 immortal Gu houses. Duke Long's battle strength was too astounding. What was even more unbelievable to them was that with every passing moment, Duke Long grew stronger endlessly. This was unreasonable. Mao Li Chiu snorted, that lad took reverse flow river in front of my very eyes, at least with that killer move alone, even if he's only rank 7, he can resist Duke Long and take the pressure off us. Fang Yuan will definitely support us. Bing Sai Chuan smiled, I don't know much about him, but I believe in Lord Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. Just as this was said, the Heavenly Court Gu Immortals actually began to retreat. They had the Qi Wall to rely on, thus retreating quite smoothly. Soon, only Duke Long was left on the scene. In the meantime, Ziwei Fairy dispatched urgently, quick, we must send support quickly. The 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation in Infallible Blessed Land is about to collapse. Hidden Dragon Caves formation is also facing destruction. Zhou Xianxia and the others were shocked as someone asked, how could the situation change for the worse so quickly? Fairy Ziwei said, Fang Yuan is making a move. Oh. Even so, the unceasing formation won't collapse so swiftly. He showed up in person. Let's take him out. We will kill this source of chaos for the sake of the world. The Heavenly Court Gu Immortals were all excited. Previously, Fang Yuan had repeatedly defeated Heavenly Court, causing many of the Gu Immortals to become angry. After Fang Yuan relied on his knowledge to extend his advantage in the River of Time, Heavenly Court lost the lead and failed miserably during the Battle of the Stone Lotus Island, suffering huge losses. Now that the Central Continent Refinement Path Convention was held, Fang Yuan had to attack. The battlefield was placed in Central Continent, the Gu Immortals were eager to see how much territorial advantage Fang Yuan could exploit this time. But Fairy Ziwei shook her head slightly, Fang Yuan has not shown himself, I'm afraid the ones outside are only his subordinates. The Heavenly Court Gu Immortals were stunned. Mere subordinates could cause the 2 immortal formations to break apart. Fairy Ziwei explained, in Hidden Dragon Cave, Immortal Gu House Dragon Palace appeared, they used a large number of dream realms to erode the formation. The truth dawned on the immortals, they had an understanding of Fang Yuan's dream realm methods. They had already expected this, Dream Path was an era ahead, it was only natural that the formation would be broken. But we have Feng Jin Huang guarding the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation. Although she's only a rank 5 Gu Master, she can use the power of the immortal formation to unleash the Dream Path killer move Shatter Dream, and transform dream realms into pure dream reality seeker physique bodies. Zhou Xianxia expressed his confusion. Fairy Ziwei said in a complex tone, that's because he did not use Dream Path methods against the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation, but Rule Path instead. Rule Path? Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals gasped in amazement once again. Rule Path? Within the Infallible Blessed Land battlefield, the Southern Alliance Immortals looked at the formation in front of them with great surprise. They had broken several formations in a row, but they had learned from Fang Yuan that this was the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation. While they were feeling annoyed and troubled, this 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation broke apart on its own. When they exited the formation, the Southern Alliance Immortals saw a large formation suspended high in the sky, constantly emitting a 5-colored smoke miasma. The smoke miasma infiltrated the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation, forcing Heavenly Court's Gu Immortals to dismantle the subformations on their own. These are reinforcements of Fang Yuan. This formation was created by Southern Border Gu Immortal Tao Zhu, it is called the 5 Regional Limit Formation, it can emit a smoke miasma and create a formation similar to the environment of the 5 regions' regional walls. Wu Yong received a letter from Fang Yuan at this time and explained with a rather complicated expression. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1929, Evil Dragon Escapes. 1929 Evil Dragon Escapes. To think that there would be such an amazing formation that can counter the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation. To think that our southern borders Gu immortal, Tao Zhu, created it. It seems that we had greatly underestimated this person. Fang Yuan actually possesses this method. When did he get it? The southern border Gu immortals conversed as they sighed in amazement. Fang Yuan had extorted and blackmailed them, but now it was Fang Yuan who had stepped in to support them, which made the southern border Gu immortals all feel quite complicated. At this moment, the voice of Zhan Budu came from within the 5 regional limit formation. Southern border, please do not lower your guard yet. Heavenly Court will not sit around as they lose control of this battlefield, they will surely send reinforcements. In that case, please also open the immortal formation and let us defend within it. A southern border Gu immortal replied. Zhan Budu smiled lightly, not hiding his contempt in the slightest. There is no need to say such naive words. Whether you all fight or retreat, it depends on your willingness. If you don't want to fight, just scram. You. The southern border Gu immortal who answered had a change of expression from anger. At this moment, more than 10 giant pillars of starlight shone down. The main force of the heavenly court really did come to help out. This is the formation. Tear it down. Zhang Fei Xiong took the lead. Zhan Budu was silent and began to activate the formation with his concentration. The 5-colored smoke miasma not only defended itself but also spread incessantly to the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation. Even though the latter formation was created by star constellation Immortal Venerable, it had to dismantle the subformations at the moment. It was stalling for as much time as possible. Let's take action and do our best to protect the 5 regional limit formation. Wu Yong did not hesitate and immediately ordered. Lord, but this is Fang Yuan. Haven't you been opposing? Someone was unwilling. Wu Yong gave this person a fierce stare and spoke in a stern tone. Everything is for the big picture. His prestige was high. Wu clan was also the #1 force in southern borders Gu immortal world. Their leadership had become a tradition. The Southern Alliance Gu immortals immediately engaged in a fierce battle with the Heavenly Court Gu immortals. With their help, Zhan Budu was relieved internally, the pressure on his shoulders dissipated mostly, and the 5-colored smoke miasma spread even more menacingly. With the cry of a phoenix, flames dazzled and the figure of Prince Feng Xian appeared. He had sharp eyes and a golden cloak on his back. He opened his mouth to breathe out a monstrous flame. The flames burned in the 5-colored smoke miasma, sweeping towards the immortals of southern border. A rank 8 Gu immortal of southern border, Yihao Fang, immediately transformed into a sea beast and rode the water waves to stop the flames from spreading. Jun Shenguang transformed into a white light, moving through the battlefield, avoiding the 4 rank 8s of southern border and attacking the remaining rank 7 Gu immortals. Moving along with him were Zhou Xiong Xian, Zhu Ke Air and others. Unfixed Manor, Flying Sand Pavilion, and Bay Pavilion were all taken out as southern borders rank 7 Gu immortals quickly entered them. Ah! A scream was heard as Vortex Space Boy carried the head of a southern border Gu immortal in his hand. Taking advantage of this moment, the rest of the southern border rank 7 immortals entered the immortal Gu houses. You guys are moving too slowly. Vortex Space Boy looked at Zhou Xiong Xian and the others as he chuckled. Where are you going? Wu Yong snorted coldly and chased after him. Vortex Space Boy retaliated with an immortal killer move, obviously prepared in advance. Wu Yong raised his hand similarly, setting off a roaring tornado of wind blades. The 2 killer moves collided with a loud bang, air current surged, the 5-colored smoke miasma rumbled like a dragon. Vortex Space Boy and Wu Yong grunted at the same time and their faces turned pale. Immortal killer move, sitting and eating the mountain empty. Taking advantage of this time, Zhao Shanhe teamed up with Yu Zhuzi once again to display this powerful killer move. Even if you have immortal Gu houses, so what? Yu Zhuzi snorted coldly. All the immortals in the southern border Immortal Gu houses were hit by this move and their faces changed color, their Gu worms and immortal essence were all rapidly depleting out of thin air. Wu Yong's pupils shrunk, he advanced instead of retreating. Defend me. Bada and Chi Chuyu immediately moved to his side. The Immortal Gu houses stayed at the periphery. Stop him. Heavenly Court's Gu immortals were all experienced in battle. Wu Yong immediately drew all their firepower as he looked like he was about to launch a powerful killer move. Chi Chuyu and Bada struggled to resist them but soon lost the ability to continue holding them off. One of them was a formation path Gu immortal while the other had just advanced to rank 8, how could they be a match for the Heavenly Court Gu immortals? In terms of strength alone, Heavenly Court was clearly superior to the immortals of Southern Border. Fortunately, Southern Border had Immortal Gu houses as well as the 5-colored smoke miasma created by Zhan Budu. They were huge obstacles for both sides to fight with their full strength. The difference in strength between the two sides was somehow balanced. However, even though the Heavenly Court Gu immortals knew well that the stronger the attacks they used in this miasma, the deeper the backlash they would suffer, they were still brave enough to fight to the death, having a relentless stance as they approached the 5 regional limit formation without any fear of their lives. After some time, the Southern Border Immortals' battle formation started to show signs of crumbling. Wan Zihong suddenly gave a delicate cry as flower petals flew, attacking the Southern Border Immortal Gu houses in front of her and forcing them to move aside, forcefully creating a path to move on. Zhang Fei Xiong followed, transforming into a bare-headed giant and slamming into the 5 regional limit formation. Boom! There was a loud bang and the formation trembled viciously. Massive amounts of Gu worms perished, even Zhan Budu suffered backlash, spitting out a large mouthful of blood. Ah, that hurts. The formation spirit was in the main formation, it howled miserably as its body suddenly became much more illusory, no longer as solid as before. The Heavenly Court Gu immortals were no better. They also suffered enormous backlash, but one by one, they gritted their teeth and tried their best to destroy the 5 regional limit formation. Oh no, the Southern Alliance won't be able to defend against such a fierce attack from Heavenly Court. Zhan Budu secretly gritted his teeth. The main power of the 5 regional limit formation lay in the 5-colored smoke miasma. Although its defense was also strong, it would never last long under the fierce attack of these Gu immortals. But even if that's the case, I'll fight to the death and try to stall for as long as possible. Zhan Budu was already prepared to die. Everything was for the big picture, even if it meant sacrificing this clone, he would have no regret. Sacrifices should be made when necessary, clones were also merely chess pieces. It was just easier to fully utilize them. Even if the 5 regional limit formation was broken and destroyed, it was still valuable. On one hand, it temporarily maintained the Heavenly Court battlefield and protected Longevity Heaven's members. On the other hand, it gave a crucial amount of time for the battlefield in Hidden Dragon Cave. Hidden Dragon Cave. A large amount of dream realms were eroding the battlefield. Old Man Bei Feng was livid but unable to do anything about it. Call for help, grandfather. Feng Chanzi shouted in a hurry, his face was pale and covered in cold sweat. Old Man Bei Feng did not speak. He had already requested for support, but Heavenly Court's reinforcements were delayed. That did not make sense. After all, Heavenly Court had a way to use a large-scale star cast method. It would only take an instant for support to come over. If they did not appear at this time, they must have been held back by something. A bad feeling filled Old Man Bei Feng's heart. Roar! Already sensing the weakening of its bindings, the suppressed Di Zongsheng within the formation was also struggling at this time, adding on to the burden of the formation. Immortal Killer Move, Mountain Suppression. Immortal Killer Move, Broken Mirror Shard Light. Qin Yuan and Song Qi Yuan were the first to break through the restraints, and because of their efforts, the power of the formation was greatly weakened once again. The other Gu immortals were able to successfully break through one after another. The 8 immortals converged, and although they were still inside the formation, they had noticed the change. How could there be so many dream realms? Zhang Yin pretended not to know and looked surprised. Perhaps Fang Yuan is helping us. Shen Songxing deliberately said, he had actually gotten a message from Fang Yuan. Who else can control the dream realms besides him? Why is Fang Yuan here? Hua Kaiyun frowned. As the saying goes, great people see eye to eye. He may also try to target Di Zongsheng. Qin Yuan guessed as he healed his wounds. Then let Fang Yuan go release Di Zongsheng. Should we withdraw now? Hua Kaiyun hesitated. Right at this moment, there was a loud rumble as an immortal Gu house broke the formation, charging towards the formation core. This immortal Gu house was a majestic palace, emitting an orange-golden glow. It was overbearingly magnificent, and the surface of the palace was filled with dragon-shaped carvings. Hua Kaiyun, Qin Yuan and the others were stunned. Although they were seeing it for the first time, they all guessed the name of this immortal Gu house at the same time, Dragon Palace. There was a loud rumble as Dragon Palace crashed through the core area. Old man Bei Feng howled and fell to the ground. He suffered a strong backlash. He was currently in a terrible state, having less than 10% of his battle strength left. Immortal Killer Move, Dreamy Light Smoke. Dreamy Light Smoke, with a gentle movement, moved old man Bei Feng into the palace and sealed him with ease. Feng Chanzi, who was beside old man Bei Feng, also got swept into this smoke. Seeing a rank 8 Gu immortal being suppressed so easily, the Eastern Sea rank 8 Gu immortals could not help but show changes of expressions. Only half of them were genuine, while the other half were disguising their emotions as they knew about the truth. Wu Shuai controlled Dragon Palace, and after capturing old man Bei Feng, he plunged down into the depths of the earth trench, ignoring the 8 Eastern Sea immortals. Qin Yuan and the others looked very pale, realizing that they were being used as cannon fodder and bait by Fang Yuan. A moment later, they heard another deafening dragon roar. The earth shook as heaven and earth changed color. A huge evil dragon slowly rose up. The Eastern Sea Gu immortals panicked and retreated, looking up. The evil dragon Di Zongsheng was so huge that it was like a mountain range, flying high in the sky, enveloping heaven and earth. It could shroud the brilliance of the sun and moon. Thankfully, Di Zongsheng did not find trouble with the Eastern Sea Gu immortals and flew directly to the west. Central Continent is in for a world of trouble. Strange, where did Dragon Palace go? What? You want to fight against Fang Yuan? Let's leave now. You all saw the move that Dragon Palace just used to capture old man Bei Feng, right? It's a dream path killer move. The Eastern Sea immortals stopped their conversation. They did not dare to stay longer. Fang Yuan's demonic might had shocked rank 8s. After all, Heavenly Court had been defeated by Fang Yuan several times. Now that he used the methods of Dragon Palace, he shocked these unsuspecting Gu immortals even more. Di Zongsheng has been released. It will definitely create chaos in Central Continent, creating a good opportunity for us. No, don't forget how the Heavenly Court Gu immortals appeared before the war started. I don't want a dozen or so Heavenly Court rank 8s suddenly appearing around me when I'm on the move. The Eastern Sea Gu immortals were also communicating while flying away. They frowned when this was brought up. They had originally planned to release Di Zongsheng to deplete Central Continent's foundation and attract firepower to facilitate their actions. But Heavenly Court possessed the method to use a large-scale star cast, nullifying the effectiveness of this plan. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1930, Qi Ci Lang. 1930 Qi Ci Lang. To continue with their previous plan, Eastern Sea's immortals would have to first unravel Heavenly Court's method, otherwise, it would be too dangerous. Shen Songsheng looked at the sky, thinking of the information that Fang Yuan gave him. He spoke. It is not impossible to unravel Heavenly Court's method. Heavenly Court purposely arranged a large number of stars in White Heaven and used them to relocate Gu immortals to anywhere in Central Continent. The other Gu immortals' eyes brightened at the news. Then we should destroy these stars. But if we attack White Heaven, wouldn't we be provoking Heavenly Court? What if the main force of Heavenly Court besieges us again? Some Gu immortals were hesitant. Granny Rong spoke slowly and logically. There is indeed such a risk. Zhang Yin sneered. What are you afraid of? If you can't beat them, can't you escape? Just pay some attention to prevent Heavenly Court from making use of a battlefield killer move. If we engage in a hit-and-run situation, can Heavenly Court waste their time chasing us? Zhang Yin's words are reasonable. Yang Zihe's eyebrows raised, he caressed his palm and smiled. Currently, the situation in Central Continent is chaotic with battles everywhere. Di Zongsheng has even been released. We have already provoked Heavenly Court at this point, what is there to hesitate? Shi Miao acted like he was contemplating. It seems that Heavenly Court cannot cope with so many battlefields at the moment. If not, why wouldn't they come over to fight us? Why would they let us free Di Zongsheng? Song Chi Yuan nodded. Heavenly Court is already overwhelmed. It seems that the southern border Gu immortals have found the location of infallible blessed land and are storming the battlefield, attacking Heavenly Court's formation. The western desert immortals are heading to Emperor City. The northern plains Gu immortals are still nowhere to be seen, but these barbarians are bound to join in the chaotic battle. And with Di Zongsheng rampaging as well. In my opinion, I'm afraid Heavenly Court won't be able to care about us yet. With that, the Eastern Sea 8 immortals reached a unified opinion once again and acted in unison, heading for White Heaven. They were still unaware that Longevity Heaven had already engaged with Heavenly Court in a huge battle. In their case, Emperor City did not have anything valuable to loot. Infallible Blessed Land was attractive, but Southern Border and Heavenly Court were already fighting there. It was better to avoid it. Heavenly Court. Fairy Ziwei stayed in Central Great Hall to oversee the situation. All sorts of new information reached her continuously. Eastern Sea's Gu immortals entered White Heaven. Their motive was very clear. They wanted to destroy the stars that Heavenly Court had arranged. But it was not a problem. When they set up the stars as an arrangement, Heavenly Court made considerations. Fairy Ziwei decided to ignore them. These stars were placed in a scattered manner. They were far from each other. If Eastern Sea's Gu immortals wanted to destroy them, they would need to spend a lot of time. In other words, Heavenly Court was using these star immortal materials to stall 8 rank 8 Gu immortals. This was extremely worth it. Fairy Ziwei was happy to see them take action. After all, with Qin Song's condition, they could only use a large-scale star cast method 4 more times. Before Eastern Sea's Gu immortals destroy all the stars, these 4 uses would likely be expended. What worried Fairy Ziwei was Di Zongsheng. In truth, Di Zongsheng escaping was not too worrying to Fairy Ziwei. But the problem was, after escaping, Di Zongsheng acted very strangely. It did not create chaos and destruction wantonly, it flew away calmly and was not in a maniacal state. This was different from historical records. Was it subdued by Dragon Palace? Fairy Ziwei could not help but think of this. It was easy to deduce it. Firstly, Heavenly Court had records that Dragon Palace was an enslavement path immortal Gu house, everyone knew that. Secondly, Fang Yuan sent Dragon Palace to attack Hidden Dragon Cave. He must have had some intention. Dragon Palace displayed powerful dream path methods. With its battle strength, Fang Yuan would not use it in a non-crucial battlefield. If Fang Yuan's previous idea was to use Dragon Palace to subdue Di Zongsheng, then him dispatching his subordinates to set up a large formation to restrain the 9-9 consecutive unceasing formation and attract the main force of our Heavenly Court to attack furiously is just bait. At the same time, the attack of the 8 Eastern Sea Immortals is also a smokescreen that he threw. Fairy Ziwei's eyes flickered with cold light. Fang Yuan was actually able to influence the 8 Immortals of Eastern Sea. How did he do it? Among the 8 Immortals of Eastern Sea, it seems there are members of Fang Yuan's group, or those who secretly work with him. I'm afraid that there are quite a few of these members. There are at least 2 of them. Fairy Ziwei speculated, but what if Fang Yuan coincidentally happened to be there? The 8 Immortals of Eastern Sea unexpectedly had the same goal as him, allowing him to benefit by chance. This is also quite possible. After all, Fang Yuan has Giant Sun's true inheritance. His luck has constantly been good. Qin Dingling is on our side, but she is still healing. Altering Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's arrangement had a much larger price than we expected. Even if he was an opponent, Fairy Ziwei could not help but admire Fang Yuan. She also had to admit, Fang Yuan had done a beautiful job in the Hidden Dragon Cave battlefield. The bad feeling in her heart was still deepening. Fairy Ziwei's attention was mostly focusing on Di Zongsheng. Most likely, it is being controlled by Feng Yuan. Then where exactly is it going to reinforce the enemy? Emperor City is the nearest battlefield. The elite Gu masters have just arrived. They have yet to officially begin the final round of the Refinement Path Convention. Destroying Emperor City will greatly delay the restoration of Fate Gu. It is also likely to go to the Hairy Foot Mountain battlefield. Wiping out the main force of Heavenly Court at once is also Feng Yuan's style. Even if the main force of Heavenly Court is teleported back by me, he will still find a way to destroy infallible Blessed Land. Once he destroys the Blessed Land, then at least this time, our restoration of Fate Gu will have to be suspended. Of course, Heavenly Court's battlefield is also a possibility. Since Longevity Heaven can come in unannounced, it is also possible that Feng Yuan can come. After all, he has obtained Red Lotus Demon Venerable's true inheritance, so he might have access to such a backdoor secretly. For the first time since the start of the war, Fairy Ziwei felt passive. If the large-scale star cast method could teleport Duke Long as well, it would be great. However, unfortunately, Duke Long's might became an obstacle to the teleportation. To make a comparison, the Heavenly Court rank 8s were like a dozen rabbits, while Duke Long was a full-grown elephant. The difference between the two was considerably big. The star cast method could not move Duke Long. Immortal Killer Move, Decomposition. Northern Plains Gu Immortal Xianxia used his signature method. This killer move was largely the reason why he was famous in history. Decomposition hit Duke Long directly. His body paused for a moment. As he looked at Xianxia, he had a plain expression. Oh, that's decomposition. You are Xianxia. When Duke Long said that, he was hundreds of steps away from Xianxia. After he said that, purple gold dragon-shaped chi flickered as he was teleported right in front of Xianxia. At this moment, Xianxia's pupils shrank to pin size as his heart pounded wildly with alarms and warnings. He tried to retreat, but it was clearly just an extravagant hope. His neck was steadily choked by a large hand. It was Duke Long's hand, covered in purple gold dragon scales, with fingers as sharp as blades. Xianxia had already activated his defensive killer move, but the killer move's light was like glass. It shattered under the force of the monstrous dragon claws. Before dying, Xianxia roared and self-detonated. An intense explosion resounded. The terrifying shock wave spread out intensely, shaking all the surroundings. The smoke and dust dissipated. The figure of Duke Long remained standing like a pillar of heaven. Immortals of Northern Plains, what else do you have other than a lack of fear for death? Duke Long's tone was plain, but it spread throughout the battlefield. The Northern Plains immortals gnashed their teeth, but could not refute it. Although the main force of Heavenly Court had all withdrawn with only Duke Long left, even with only Duke Long alone, Calamity Luck Altar still could not make an inch of progress. They could only rely on Call of the Ancient to constantly summon powerful experts of Northern Plains in history to maintain the battle situation. And this. Suddenly, Lu's figure appeared behind Duke Long's back. Duke Long's body shook. The gray light dagger in Lu's hand was thrust into his back. Even the purple gold dragon scales could not block this method. This was Lu's signature killer move, Despicable Penetrating Blade. In the previous life, Lu had killed many members of Heavenly Court with this move, and even severely injured Fairy Ziwei. At that time, if not for Wu Shuang blocking most of the power, Fairy Ziwei would have died tragically in his hands. Good. Seeing this scene, the Northern Plains immortals were suddenly energized. Since the start of the war, no matter how furiously the Northern Plains immortals attacked, this was the first time that Duke Long was wounded like this. However, Lu's face changed abruptly. He could not hide his shock. Although his killer move dagger had pierced into Duke Long's body, it was like the blade got stuck in a block of iron, unable to move a single inch. A human path killer move. Not bad, it fits your temperament. Duke Long slowly turned around and stretched out his hand, steadily grasping Lu's head. At this moment, Lu suddenly realized, Duke Long purposely got hit by my move. He used his body as bait to trap me. It was not that he did not want to escape, but he could not. Like the dagger in his hand, he could not move. Slap. With a cracking sound, Lu's skull was like a watermelon easily crushed by Duke Long. His headless corpse immediately fell down, the grey dagger in his hand dissipated instantly. Who else? Duke Long raised his arms and shouted. His body was like iron, having grown to twice the size of a normal man, his long purple hair dancing wildly in a monstrous wave of sounds. The Northern Plains immortals responded to him with countless killer moves. Rumble. There were dazzling light shadows, countless killer moves were stacked on top of each other. Duke Long rushed out brutally, displaying world-shaking dragon hammer and ruthlessly slamming into Calamity Luck Altar. With a loud bang, Calamity Luck Altar flew back dozens of steps, creating a long trench on the ground. The front that was hit by Duke Long was completely caved in, forming a shockingly deep pit. There is no time to repair damage of such a level. Bing Sai Chuan thudded, his heart sinking violently. Bull Demon, Flower Lady, and Five Elements Grandmaster were trying to repair Calamity Luck Altar. They froze at this moment. If Calamity Luck Altar broke, Longevity Heaven's members would immediately lose this battle, they would die without a proper burial. But at the moment when Duke Long was about to attack again, a black light flew out from the River of Time. The black light followed the hole in the front of Calamity Luck Altar and shot into its interior, transforming into a young and handsome-looking Gu immortal with curly black hair hanging down his waist. With a wave of his palm, the young Gu immortal's dark light surged, quickly repairing the damage of Calamity Luck Altar and saving Longevity Heaven from the brink of defeat. Bing Sai Chuan's body shook intensely. Seventh Prince. Duke Long snorted coldly, so it's Giant Sun's child. The young-looking Gu immortal was the seventh child of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. He was known as Seventh Prince. He nodded. Duke Long, with me, Chi Si Lang, here, it will be much harder for you to destroy Calamity Luck Altar now. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.